Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-drift.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
That's right. We are broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and once again, I'm your host, Joe Root, live on the Fringe FM. It is Thursday night, December the 12th. As we head on into 2020, we're getting closer and closer. But tonight, we're going to head on into, believe it or not, it was Friday the 13th, I think. So tonight, musician, artist, and occult researcher Nathan Lee joins us. We had a little reschedule. We were supposed to have David Solomon on, but we found someone just as good to take his place. And I'm stoked about this tonight, actually, because this is an interesting person. I'll tell you why just in here in a minute. This show is brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Make sure you get your life change tea today. I received my pomegranate tea, and can't wait to try that. But I want to tell you guys too, because I got a couple of friends doing this stuff, and I want to tell you right off the bat, if you've never done a detox before, this is not a joke. This isn't like the stuff that you're going to run down a Walmart and get. It detoxes everything. So prepare yourself for that. You might want to do like a pre-detox before you do this, but it's worth it. Also, Ancient Life Oil from ancientlifeoil.com, the best CBD oil on the planet. And if you've had any type of paranormal drama, you can get a free session with Barbara at Metaphorical Archaeology. Give them a call at 214-995-3754. You can also support the show by donating. We've had a few people donate and even set up monthly donations. Thank you very much for that. And speaking of which, we're going to do another giveaway this month. Jamie Gold won last month's giveaway, but this month, if you send in a donation of $10 or more, we're going to give a special clothing item away, and it's going to be a killer hoodie. It's going to be a special edition Voidwalker hoodie. There's only going to be one like it, and I know you're probably not going to be donating until you see it, but once we release it, you're going to love it. And I'm thinking about making a Pinterest board full of like all of the Voidwalker picture you guys have sent me, even putting like a U.S. map up there. So, yeah, we're going to be doing some cool stuff. And then I want to tell you, too, come around Christmas time, we might have some fill-in hosts because I'm going to be taking a break and doing some reevaluation with the station and the show. It's not going away or wondering if it's a midlife crisis with Lighting the Void or anything like that. It's just stepping back, looking at the drawing board and saying, okay, what do we need to grow from here? And I've had some people come into my life that are really going to help that, and I need a little bit of time to do that. That's all. Plus, it's the holidays. We all need that. But the good news is, if I do get some fill-in hosts, or if you think you can handle the job, I'm not subject not to hearing you. All you got to do is send me a demo to producer@thefringe.fm, and we'll hear it. Okay, so keep in mind, be looking out for that Voidwalker hoodie, because it's going to be a giveaway, just like we did last time. Head on over to ufoseekers.com, backed and supported by the Fringe FM and the show. If you want a real journalistic approach to ufology, that's where you go, ufoseekers.com. If you've had a sighting you cannot explain, and give them a call. So I've explained the late start tonight, but that's okay. Now, our guest, Nathan Lee, is an author, occultist, musician, and the host of the Six of Swords podcast, a unique show that focuses on art, spirituality, and healing. and Subtopics touched upon the show, then become the focus of 3 ancillary shows, the 6 of Cups, the 6 of Stones, and the 6 of Wands. Now that's pretty interesting. I've never heard of that before, so we're going to talk about that. He can usually be found on Heretics Anonymous, hosted by Miguel Conner, who's another, we're a big fan of Miguel here, of the Aeon Byte Radio Show. He's been a guest on here as well. Secretly, he is the occult fox in the midst of Dark Journalist Ideas Room, and you can find Nathan's music on Bandcamp at occultfan.bandcamp.com/releases. I've got the link here too, so it'll take you straight to it. Nathan, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe, thank you so much for that awesome intro. My name is Nathan Lee. It's a really long name, actually, Nathan Lee Miller Foster, and we'll have fun breaking some Gematria stuff down later, and we can go into some of that. Some easy example. But yeah, I've had, just as an introduction for your audience, I'm interested in magic, UFOs, and getting to a higher state of consciousness and trying to find out what really, praxis-based works to change things, not just in a kind of sanctimonious way, because that sucks, but in a real way that actually helps us deal with the stuff that's hard in our lives and, the true battles within, long and short, but, TLDK.
Wow. Okay. So
TLDR, whatever.
Let me tell you that. Let me ask you this. So you do a podcast, right? And then their podcast is called 6 of Swords. But then you do, what is it, like separate shows? The 6 of Cups, Stones, and the 6 of Wands?
Yeah, the discs, because that's an old kind of, I was like listening to that. I'm like, I need to update something. But yeah, we're all, like you mentioned, with stepping back and looking at your show. It's kind of, I did a period of that when I was starting off. I was like, I kind of always had a broader gestalt, quote unquote, vision. But it came to me kind of slowly. I'm like, all right, I'm doing a one-on-one. Okay, now I also see shows that are cool that do round tables, but I don't want to do, so this, that, the other thing led to, okay, I'm doing the swords. What about cups? It all just fit. So then cups became a round table. The wands is a live call-in interactive once a month show, and the discs is a solo show. So each week, one after another. So every month you get a different suit.
Ah, interesting. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's totally original too. Good idea. But I want to touch on something before we get into that. You know how hard it is for me to try to explain the fundamentals of the occult and magic. It's been such a long, hard journey trying to explain how things work without being considered super evil, or the occult itself considered super evil, or somebody taking some moral high ground about it. But in your bio, you have the word praxis in there, which automatically tells me that you kind of understand this more than most just by just that alone. Do you get what I'm saying? Can you explain what praxis means better than I can? Because I suck at it.
Well, I mean, praxis, to be good at explaining praxis is to, in the moment, show someone exactly what praxis is. So by explaining praxis in the manner that I'm doing that, you guys are seeing that I'm giving you a good example, because that's an actual example of praxis. But another thing is, does it work? That's praxis. That's the simplest way in practice, but that X kind of makes it like, so you can imagine like a Latin thing. Is it working? Like literally, does it work or doesn't it? It's not the lottery. It's does it work or doesn't it? So that's praxis. Does it work in practice?
Yeah. And see, and where I've learned about, I do believe we live in a magical universe, although I can't prove it. Right. But what I've learned through praxis is that the subconscious is the key to everything. So, and what I've learned to do is speak to my subconscious via ways of symbols, smells, all this other stuff to make certain things happen in my life, or to understand myself on a higher level. Where some people may do meditation, which is fine. I do that too, just not enough. It's almost like I get involved more with moving meditation, drawing circles and da-da-da-da. And everybody thinks that's evil. There's not everybody, but there's still a lot of people, man, that think that it's just dark and evil. And I don't see how it's any different than when you're actually doing a science experiment or playing mind games or brain games on yourself in a puzzle book. I really don't. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a lot. I mean, I'm gonna just take one of those things to start with, and
Sure.
I think it'll kind of feed the rest of them a little bit by bit. But tackling it head on, those who would say that the occult, or even looking at the process of the mind, would be evil. I mean, ugh. It's like they're afraid to look at themselves is almost directly what it seems like. It's almost an infantile or ignorant or cowardly attitude. In praxis, it doesn't breed good living. And I would say that basically you're gotta take the plank out of your own eye before you can see, the kind of thing that you're self-mutilating by not examining. I've been wondering recently in the past few days, like that whole is the unexamined life really, I'm just revisiting that, because like where some people figure it out and they're like, all right, I figured out duality and good and evil, and how could you possibly be going back to that old hat? I'm like, I tend to keep circumnambulating different things. Sorry, what?
Yeah, that's like the very start, right? I mean, that should be the obvious stuff. Duality. We should be way beyond that, and especially coming to 2020. But we're not.
How pedantic.
Yeah. But we're not. All you got to do is turn on the television or look on social media, and you see that we're not at all beyond duality.
You know who's really good about this is Frederick Xavier.
Yeah. He's. Yeah. You
know what I mean, though.
Frederick Xavier. God, it's funny you say that. Frederick Xavier is probably the main reason why I talk about this on the show. He got me started in magic. I couldn't even contain myself. I just I have so much respect. Like, just that's all I could say is love and respect, right? That pretty much encapsulates. Yeah, right. When people ask me, they say, "Hey, where do I start to learn this stuff?" I'm very interested in it. And I was on Clyde Lewis's show, Ground Zero, and some of their listeners heard me on there and came over and was like, "Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe it's not super evil. So where can I learn about it in a healthy way?" Yeah. And I said, Frederick Xavier's YouTube channel, The Mystery School. Start with that playlist. Just start with that playlist.
Can I tell you? I literally have in my in my bedroom, I have an old school 2015 December Mind and Magic logo. I just lugged it so much of the time that I printed it out. It just said it said Mystery School. And at the time I was going through, like, this is December 2015. And for a lot of people, this was a shifty-ish time. I don't know how was December 2015 for you? Do you remember?
That's when I saw the orange ball.
Okay. I withdraw the question. No, but really. Yeah. So I put that up on my wall at that time. I'm actually, we talk about 12th house, and you can actually see me on one of his mailbag videos from that time period back in December of 2015.
Oh, really?
Really?
What was it? So were you a skeptic at the time, or what? What was it about?
That was the time I was realizing what an idiot I was for being a skeptic. That was the time. See, okay. So my coming ups in all of this is I have two. Let's just try to make this easy. I've always been magically keen, but not always clear-sighted, and often quite block-headed when it comes to these. And from dismissing it outright or to taking an overly, I don't know, New Age isn't the right word for anything I've ever done, but maybe more like you get the kind of like stoner hippie New Age.
Yeah,
I don't know, but one I will say a redeeming aspect of that is that with all the stoner metal, which is amazing, you do have the whole kind of like you get into Tool and System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine. So that is very beneficial, because you get I'll tie this together and then pass this back to you by saying in that last track on Anima, they talk about in Third Eye how you have all these musicians who are really high on these drugs, so go home and burn all your albums if that bothers you. So I don't know, just those kind of the magically operant way that I came up. I thought you needed 3-dimensional substances to get you to the place that's not necessarily 3-dimensional, but I evolved from there. And then I still thought tarot and astrology was BS. And then finally at 2015, it clicked.
So what made it so? Yeah. Okay. I want to stay on that. Because so what made, look, I get it. I can see how tarot and astrology look like complete nonsense. I really can. But if you really dig into it, there's a moment where you realize it's like that aha moment. Everybody has like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something much bigger to this. What was that for you when it comes to the tarot? Do you remember?
Yeah. I think I was doing some, I'll give you an example of an early, real huge experience rather than just like the pivotal moment, because I can't really locate that in my consciousness right now, the field, so to say. But I can remember right around that time, I'm looking into The Secret History of Twin Peaks, which is, for anyone, just that book is like the Invisibles omnibus. It's a sync magnet, basically. It's a sync brick. It's just going to generate stuff. You can't help it. And I was like, okay, show me the sun, or show me Christ, the sun. And I pulled the sun card right out of this deck that I had it's a 1984 deck, the Gareth Knight Tarot. Beautiful cards. Wonderful. Sander Little does the art for that. Beautiful illustrations, if you can find that Gareth Knight Tarot deck. Anyways, draw the sun card, and just the meaning and the poignancy of it all. It was like an irreversible kind of like knowing. And that was the moment where I was like, tarot is more like, I understood the power that flew through it. And I mean, flew like flowed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because for me, it was all, I don't know why it was all the correspondences and the Tree of Life that got me, and the story of the Rider-Waite deck and how they made that deck, and it was kind of watered down from the original Golden Dawn decks. But I don't, I don't look at the Golden Dawn as the beginning of the tarot, but it was interesting to see that and how there were so many correspondences. While before I listened to people just talk about, what they felt the card said and all this stuff. And I was like, wait, so this is telling an initiatic story through the arcana here, but it also has planetary energies and Hebrew letter correspondences to it. And I mean, This is like big stuff. And then
you can totally use it that way.
Yeah. And then when I started talking, so I went and got, the big thick Golden Dawn book, and this was a long time ago, and I really got into how they did spreads and went the way, like, it's called book T in there. And I went through that, and some of the accuracy on it freaked me out. Matter of fact, I hadn't went back since. It was so freaky, because that was the kind of divination that was happening where I was like, maybe I don't want to know, maybe I don't want to know, because it was just way too accurate. And then other people were saying, well, you should look at the I Ching. It's more accurate. And that was where everything started for me for tarot. But I think the biggest problem is, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings when I say this, but there's so many tarot readers and out there now, and I'm not saying that they don't do good work, but I guess I would say the quality of the divination that they do kind of, I think it's watering things down. I don't know. I could be wrong. What do you think?
Well, I think it matters. What do you think?
Well,
and that's not to be flippant or anything, for sure. You know what I mean, though. It really does come down to what your perception of it is and how it impacts your subconscious conversation, because that's one that we really should tie it back around to continually. I'm completely on board with at least the laterality of the hyper deep importance of remembering that the subconscious in the interaction, especially with our dreams and our synchronicities, are one of the clearest and easiest ways for people who aren't necessarily just, you don't have to go into like Golden Dawn stuff or anything, right. Yeah. You can just look at this like almost like an extended branch of and I don't mean to say that, like magically, I'm not going to say that fully. I'm going to half say that like a Piscean way. But you can almost do that if the normie needs that. But I shouldn't say normie. Well, whatever. That's out there now. But still, if you that, it's okay to do it that way. I totally understand, because I thought it was woo too. And then so to cover that point, yes, it's the same thing as like I look at a watch and I go, oh, cool, nice watch. I don't even think about how it's a digital one. I don't even think about how those digits can appear on the liquid crystal display. Few people have that specialized knowledge. But then once you start to look at it, you could probably even maybe like I don't know, click it to manipulate it, or I don't know, do something neat with it, you start to understand it better. And suddenly it's not just some BS watch. You have an appreciation and an understanding and a functionality too. If you're a, wise enough person to, and quick enough on your feet, useful even. And so you would say that the same thing with astrology, Ned, to tie that together. Once I started to learn how it worked, I'll go you one. I'll go you one more. Just found out the other day. Thank you to I'll keep him anonymous. I think for now that would be the thing to do, but he'll get credit in due time. He did our charts, my girlfriend's and I's. And one of the basicest things I found out now in synastry, relationship chart comparisons, is that when you have a moon and a sun, and in both of the male and whomever's, the one person's chart and the other person's chart, then you compare the two of them. If your sun and their moon are in good alignment and good receptivity or significantly connecting, that's like super important and good to pay attention to for the relationship. Turns out my girlfriend's moon and my sun are in the same exact spot in the sky.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, see, that stuff matters. That's my point, though. What you just said there means that you understand the whole process of everything so that you can get more out of it, right? You can get a lot more out of it. And I'm happy that I feel like there's so many more people into astrology and tarot, and that's a good thing, right? But I want it to be, I don't know, I feel like also at the same time, if we don't look at, the digits and the crystals and everything that's behind it that makes up the watch, so to speak, like you're saying, if we don't look at that, then we're going to lose the real magic of it. We can do base level divination with anything. We can do that with sticks and stones. But when we're using like real color and tarot, or, when we really get specific, and tarot is like powerful because there's so many symbols in it, then I think it's important to pick up a book, and look into the origins of this stuff, man.
As you said that, I was picking up this book to remind myself to tell you that I drew an I Ching page in this book when you were talking about the I Ching.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I drew the taming power of the great, or the great accumulation.
Huh. Wow. Synchros, right? How much does that happen to you? That happens to you a lot, doesn't it?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens to me a lot too. But I don't know, man. And this is why I've had listeners say, "Oh, Joe, you're holding back," right? You should talk more about it. But every time I talk more about it, I feel like, man, I have this guest on. The night should be about the guest. It should be about the topics. It shouldn't be about what the hell I got to say.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I don't want to be that guy,
Well, you just be who you want to be and don't worry about the details.
Yeah. See, thanks for. So what I kind of do in a manipulative way is I ask questions to get the answers that I know sometimes. That's just being real. And then someone like you will come on and just totally shock me with the answer, and then I'll learn something, which I find that's a much better route than trying to preach what I know. Because I got to tell you, man, after studying all of this stuff, all it's shown me is I don't know jack like I thought I did. Like I'm so far behind. That's all it's telling me.
But you're not far behind unless you think you are. And I'm not being coy, not for a single moment.
You don't think so, huh?
Well, I think that you have to judge yourself by your own benchmark. I mean, okay, let's rock this. You want to play the game of comparisons? Because don't you know you're already out of your own center once you do that?
Yeah, I hate it. Actually, it doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels icky, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't feel right at all.
You're trying to lick someone's boot, not you, but I almost feel like I'm trying to do, like, it's like, no, step back. I got my own. Okay, this is good. Got my thing going. And it's important because I think one of the biggest lessons that this brings us back around to, with the tie to what you said with the subconscious and what I'm saying ultimately, that the main thing I want to get across is, if you could do anything in your life, just do the best you can, but look at the fight within your own shadow self and yourself, what you call the adversary, and what the forces of your own nature are trying to do within your own self. If you can begin the fight, the good fight within, so to call, then you're going to be able to turn yourself into something great. It's like a great turn a positive upward spiral momentum, joining into the greater collective spiritual humanity too, because you're no longer just some, isolated, broken vessel. You're someone who you're doing the best you can. No one's going to give you grief for that. And if we all start trying to remember that it's not utopia perfect and it's not hell either here, and having a good attitude is wicked important, the rest of these things that we start to fix around inside ourselves will start to fractal outwards, Mandelbrot, and there's nothing that can stop that. There's the only solution, and it comes from starting right there in that solitary body, in that single moment. And no matter what, even if the best that we did, that Martin Luther King Jr. moral arc bending towards history that we're doing this for, if that doesn't work to finish the point, then you can still just go right into the center and all right, bliss out. I guess I hate to end with this thought, but I do admit to a certain noble fascination with any samurai who would rather lose his life than to abandon his mission. And I don't mean that more. I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But still, there's something noble about really having a true purpose. And I think the only one that's truly worth living is the moral arc bending towards justice.
Well, and it's the only time you can, in my life, it's the only time I've ever really seen synchros happen. When you take that leap of faith out there and you go, okay, this is what my soul really wants to do. But it conflicts with the natural world. It conflicts with this, the society and everything around it, everything about it. And I'm going to take this leap of faith and let's see what happens. And the funny thing is, at least for me, when I've done that, my life I get rewarded. It's almost like whatever's back there in the universe is going, oh, you're listening now. Okay. Well, here's this. Do you see this? Oh, you saw this too. You're listening more. That's fantastic. Here's this. And it's like, wait, are you telling me that I can make it through life simply on faith and knowledge and doing what I'm put here to do? Is that a real thing? And then you start kind of understanding, the Egyptian Book of the Dead and what Christ was talking about and all the masters where they're saying everything's kind of just there for you already if you'll just take it and believe it.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, 1,111%. A hugely important thing is to remember that you're never at game over. It's never over. The only evil in this existence, in one way you could say it, there's just one way to look at it, is to say that feeling of overness, that's evil, man. That's not real. You can always pick yourself up and keep walking. That's why Batman had that kind of cheap but delicious adage in it about Master Bruce, what do? When we fall down, we stand up again, or whatever, fall down 8, stand up 9, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you're so spot on with that, man. This has been an intense right off the bat, and I do have to take a break here, but look, we'll be right back. If you guys are, if we're getting too deep or your eyes are glazing over, let me know, because we can take this back down to core level here. And I'm going to ask Nathan some astrology questions too, and more about his work, man. We'll be right back.
By now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
Come, walk through the mossy creek and up the hill. Never mind the flashing lights and otherworldly shadows. They stay hidden within the trees. Come, step up to the shack and begin your journey to the answers that you seek. This is Lady Anne, and you are listening to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is V, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and I heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art pal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all of the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Root and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your northern self and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you be the Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here with Nathan Lee, podcaster, author, musician, and occult researcher. You did mention too, another thing I wanted to address in your bio is that you hang out in the Dark Journalist show quite a bit, right?
It's funny. Yeah, I haven't been in there in a bit. I was talking with someone from that show the other day, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, you haven't been by," and I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Yeah, you know, I know you have a girlfriend now." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I haven't been on the show. That's usually on like Friday evenings, and I've just been like super swamped with everything. My music's becoming even more of a huge focus in my life than it's ever been before. So you can imagine Friday evenings are a bit problematic for me.
But you know what? The Dark Journalist is doing real work. I'm a huge fan of his show because he digs down and talks about the facts. He talks about true occult facts, and he brings up good
Dan
subjects.
Wise. Dan Wise and Olivia and some of the associates of the show, like Catherine Austin Fitz, Walter Bosley, Dr. Farrell, and even like Linda Moulton Howe and Graham Hancock. But like I said Dr. Joseph Farrell, right? I just want to make sure I did.
Yeah, you said Farrell, Dr. Farrell's, yeah. So.
Double down on that one. But yeah, a lot of people are like that, and Gigi Young too. Like these are really important people that are bringing like actual, knowledge to the world and aren't trying to like fool you with it. Like they're genuinely good. I'd call them, just for long and short, like white lodge people. Right.
Well, the people that want to think that conspiracy is BS and there's conspiracies, just the crazy people. All you got to do is go listen to the Dark Journalist show with Catherine Austin Fitz on it, and you'll realize that it's not a joke. That's the hardcore show I've ever heard in my life when it comes to revealing truth about what the government and corporations are doing to people. And it's pretty damn scary. But it's not just that. It's like, I respect the guy too, because when he talks about the occult, he doesn't do it like I do. I don't have any notes here, man. I didn't do any research like he does. Like, I'm not a journalist, I just talk about stuff. This guy digs and digs and digs, and he gets the best information, the hard-hittingest information, and the realest information. Like when he talked about Steiner and stuff, I was like, man, who's doing this? Who's calling out Corey Goode and Wilcock and at the same time talking about Rudolf Steiner? Right? Nobody. And so he deserves every ounce of success that he gets. For sure.
I definitely gave him a shout out on episode 1111. Wait, did I get it? 1111? Yes. Episode 1111 of No Agenda. So I think Dark Journalist is mentioned in the shout out section of that podcast. So yes, I do love Dan Wise and Olivia, and they're very special to the overall consciousness evolution of our times. Like, long story short, I could Libra this or I could say that, and that's what I'm going to say, because that's true. And it's also concise, and it's useful.
So I want to circle back to what we were talking about before. So you were a skeptic of astrology, and now you realize that there's something more to it. How did that happen for you? It never happens in just one thing, by the way. It never does, but it's usually a series of things. But
yeah, it was my birth chart. I think when I realized like what my birth time and everything was, and I started to get some useful enough readings of my chart, and I saw how like, oh, I'm not a Virgo sun, because all the charts will tell you if you're on September 22nd, you're going to be a Virgo. Like that happens about 80% of the time. There are the other ones that go with the 22s, right? But anywho, so I'm actually born like as the ticks in, like the clock ticks right in. The tick is right at like 0.02 seconds into Libra. So I'm born on the equinox. And like when I figured out that I was actually an equinox in Libra, that made something shifted where I'm like, okay, this isn't fake. I don't feel alienated from this now. I feel a resonance with this now. Yeah. And then I dug in further, and I'll tell you this one bit, and our friend Nish will appreciate this. And this is the shout out, and she's going to go, she'll appreciate this is the shout out. We both have a Leo moon.
Oh boy.
And I always have resonated with lions and the lion archetype and being a good, strong, courageous Gryffindor, stuff like that. So, that I was like, why am I so into this lion thing if I have no Leo, right? Like, what is this? Like,
you do though. You found it.
I have the Leo moon at 28 degrees, which is the same one that caused the Great American Eclipse.
Wow. Which, from my basic understanding of astrology, means when you walk into the room, you need that spotlight, right?
Always.
And you know what? Here's the trippy thing: is Nish is a Leo moon too, right? Didn't you say that?
She is.
Okay. So, I just left Portland. I went and visited Portland, came back, and Nish came down to visit. And when she was decked out in all her witch gear, man, like, looking really sharp, and came in, and I was like, well, that's easy to tell. That's Nish right there, And so I see you too, man. You got the sunglasses, the scarf, the the vest and everything, or the blazer. You got it going on. See, I'm learning. That's what I've been trying to tell people. We read all this crap. It's like, oh, if you're this sign, if you're that sign. And you get on YouTube and everybody's like, oh, you're an Aries, or a Scorpio, but you're not. That's just one aspect of you. It's just one planet. I'm not saying ignore it, but look at the other things. Like, really look at your moon and look at your Venus. Look at your whatever's rising too, and look at your Venus and Jupiter and Mars. Look at all that stuff.
The rising's the most, like, if you're gonna be lazy about this, then, and again, I'm a Libra sun, so dressing well, Libras like beauty, Venus rules Libra, so I'm just like conscious, like I just like sip so anyways, but like, yeah, right. Oh, you can vault. So hold on, I was gonna go somewhere with that about the your rising signs. Like, okay, you got the dark side of the moon in there. I like to liken this concept to the dark side of the moon. If you could look at one thing and you can handle it, you would try to get all the information before it hits the pyramid, right? Mm-hmm. Once it hits the pyramid, you got your sun, you got Mercury, you got Jupiter, you got Saturn, you get But before that, you got your rising sign. And that rising sign is that white part of the dark side of the moon beam. It's the unfiltered, it's you. So wherever your rising sign is also the reason why it sets up why that's your first house, second house, third house, because those modalities matter where that lines up. That's why you need it. And it's also the most important one if you're going to be lazy, like Libras like to be lazy. Apparently, someone said that. I don't know. Too lazy.
Somebody said that somewhere, right?
I think I might have.
But it does get a little complicated, and I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. But if you just start out with like a natural tropical wheel, you don't even have to get into the sidereal stuff and go down all that whole philosophical road. Just, if you're a skeptic of astrology, look at your birth chart in the most basic way, but look at all of it and study all aspects of it, and then tell me it's BS. Go back and look at all the celebrity charts and everything where it lines up with all their stuff. It's not BS, man. Like, these energies are real. They're definitely real. And to top it off, we talked about how earlier, how we see that in the tarot and how it corresponds to things. And then you look on this planet and you read all these grimoires, books that say, well, this is why this snake has this color and this design this way, because it's got this kind of Martian thing, and you can use it for certain spells and stuff. And you're like, nah, maybe not. But if you really put all that together, it makes sense. And here's where I get tossed up. Does it work because there's truth to that? Or does it work because my mind believes it because it sees all the correspondences and triggers my subconscious, and therefore changes my focus and perception? That's what I wonder sometimes.
It makes me think, I'm going to say off the bat, I'm humble enough to admit I have no idea how any of this really works. Number two, I'm going to say it makes me think of Michael Tessarian. It makes me think of like how numbers go both ways. So like if you're dealing with the numbers and the archetypes working through you.
Yeah.
And also basically the third way that I was it was the third one I was going to. Anyways, well, yeah, that's right. Miguel on his show recently had a guest who was talking about the occult, some of the other symbols in the occult, and his opening for the show was talking about how symbols are living things and that they actually work on you as you work on them. So again, when I say I'm humble enough to say I don't know, like seriously, I really don't know.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a give and take. Like everything can be sensed on the wheel, so to speak. It's a giant spider's web. Everything is connected. And if it's disconnected, it's probably a hell state or something really peaceful. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of weird both. It's just an uncomfortable-ish.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's good to say that you don't know. But I got this thing in my mind where I can't stop analyzing it. I do that with everything. I can't stop analyzing, trying to figure out what it is. So I get kind of obsessive, almost like the mad scientist, and I'll start doing experiments on my own. Like back in the day when I first started studying Frederick Xavier stuff, right? And he has this series called The Laws of Magic. 50 Laws of Magic are 50 weeks, and you get 50 laws. Do what?
Did you take that?
Yeah, I've taken every course he's has, all of them. Yeah. And so one of the biggest things that I learned is if it matters to you, if you're trying to manifest something in your life and it's a big thing and it matters to you, it's going to be difficult for you. You have to become a really good magician to learn how to do these things. But if you experiment with things that do not matter in any kind of way to you, like an orange ball or a toy or something that doesn't matter, it happens like clockwork. It's easy. So there's this thing in our minds and maybe in our soul where that place of doubt lives that's keeping us from being who we could really become as far as manifesting things magically in our lives. And I want to obsess over why that is so bad and try to figure that out, you know. Can't help
Didn't you just answer your own question, though, by saying that something that you try to do doesn't
happen?
Happen?
It's kind of, it's perplexing, because I want that so bad, you know. So you know how you can do like magical spells for truth. Like, I want the truth about this. You can actually do spells for that and get truth. But you're right. But because this thing matters so much, I'm breaking the law. Thanks for saying that. And I'll never find the answer because in my mind, it's already been so hard, you know?
Well, it's like, that's why Zen masters ask the koan and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that. Or like the Kanya.
Do you? But do you get it?
Yeah, I do. I actually do.
No. But do you?
Do I? Now you're confusing me.
That was the koan.
I got you. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Wait,
but
does it?
Does it make sense? Right.
Oatmeal pack, like Drosta effect. It's just like,
yeah.
Oh, the first time I remember seeing that was Robin Williams in the movie Toys. It was at some second run movie theater, I think. It was like the poster of him, and it's like the poster was in the poster, in the poster, in the poster.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really trippy visual effect. Like, for my 8-year-old mind, that was hard to understand, or whatever that came.
Well, you know what? You belong with the crowd here, man, because we got listeners. We do things like listeners night. And last week we had the listener named Fee who was trying these experiments, and he sat in front of a mirror. I think what was he doing? He's sitting in front of a mirror meditating, and I don't know if he was doing a mantra or something, but his visual disappeared, like his reflection disappeared, and he was telling us about it on the air. And I was like, wait a minute. So you could do it again next time and see if you can move through the mirror like a scrying card or something, you know? And
that's an awesome idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you look at a scrying card, if you study scrying at all, they put those flashing colors on there for a reason. Like, you know, scarlet and green, if you're using Tatwa cards, say, for example, or blue and orange, just really flashing colors. So when you start staring at it long enough, it does that visual effect where it starts to flash and it starts to, you know, do that thing that your mind does where it starts to make stuff disappear. And then you close your eyes and you can see the shape like a light. It's light in that shape. And then you move through it. And then you record every visual, every entity, everything you see. And that's what these cats used to do back in the day. And so I was thinking, well, if he's doing it with a mirror, maybe he can move through the damn mirror, you know? Sounds wild. I know whoever's listening now.
That shit. No, he needs to be genuinely careful with going into unknown territory like that.
Yeah, because you could get trapped, right?
I don't know. I mean, okay, so to your point, let's back it up and just talk in the lexicon for a second. You're doing the tattvas, you're going through, say, a 5-pointed orange star, whatever it would be, I don't know. You go through and you record everything for that reason. It's probably got a lot of Martian archetypes in there because it's the 5-pointed. I don't know how that works right now.
Yeah.
The idea is you get what you get there, but the reason that you're recording it is because it has some overall subconscious or greater magical power to it. It has some value. It has a story, some kind of lesson you can use to craft a spell or unlock some kind of thing. This, that, the other. So far, so good. No.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But the same thing, I suppose, would be said for the other experience itself. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get over there because you're just, you know, depending on what the mantra is, I suppose, but there's less confining boundaries than a shape. A shape seems to be very archetypally guiding.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It might not be enough of an anchor is all.
Yeah, it is. The way they had it, So I'll go back to the Golden Dawn again. The way they taught this in the Golden Dawn was before you did the scrying, you had to learn how to trace certain symbols. So just like if you're doing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, when you trace a pentagram, it's nothing here in the physical realm, but in the astral realm, when you're using that visual, it's making it, right? But you learn that, and you learn that art. So when you finally do get to do all of your work in the astral realm and you meet entities, you can trace glyphs of planets, glyphs of Hebrew letters, or do certain Egyptian signs of like LVX or whatever to test entities and to protect yourself, right? So they don't really want you just to jump in and throw your psyche in there that way. But I was just thinking, like, I don't know why, maybe it was a bad suggestion, but I was thinking, man, this really does correspond to those Tattwa cards, you know? Could be.
Everyone's free to do their own thing, but since you're running a like public audio service, whatever, something could, just say this is not medical, whatever.
Yeah, do the discretion thing. Yeah, for sure. But
you literally do that and you're pretty good. And I mean, it's silly to do and even if you do it, you can make it just like, hey, haha, gee, just kidding. But
yeah. Well, Fee, if you got lost, man, please let me know you didn't get lost. And I hope you're listening to this. Because
furthermore, not just the legal side of things, but honestly, we don't want anyone's soul getting. That was the original point of this.
Yeah, don't get your soul trapped in there for sure. Yeah,
but then you become like somehow karmically responsible and have to train like a series of soul divers who interdimensionally enter an unknown pocket universe war. Okay, that was cool. Back to the show.
Yeah, but that's what I'm all about. See, man, that's what the void. See, that's what we are, is like void walkers. That's why we call ourselves that here, is because we're willing to go there, Yeah, it's probably dangerous. Yeah, there's probably some stuff out there we probably shouldn't mess with. But how the hell are we going to get the answers? Instead of assuming to know, we're just going to try to learn who we are, all while at the same time exploring consciousness. And and we talk about the out-of-body experience quite a bit on here because let's just say Frederick Xavier's teachings and my own out-of-body experience and a little bit of science is what started this show altogether.
Sounds fair. Makes sense.
You ever had an out-of-body experience?
I've had a few different, questionable of what was causing them, but yes, long answer, short yes.
Gotcha. Well, I'm obsessed with them because I had the one that I've talked about a million times on this show. And I don't know, have you ever had this thing in your life where you're trying to find something mystical and magical in your life? Something spiritual, sciencey, something that's so unreal that if it was real, it would change everything for you. So that's what happened to me. Like I read Robert Monroe's books, William Buellman's books, and I thought this has got to be real. There's so many like older dudes with integrity that are taking a scientific method about this, explaining to me that I have these different bodies, that I could actually move around in. And I want to do this thing, man. And I think that magical willpower kind of took over because I was so focused on it that it actually really did happen one time. And I peeled myself out, looked at myself sleeping, walked outside, flew to a tree, and never had that feeling again. That heightened sense of vividness, that buzz, that being around, feeling the walls and the material through the walls, never had that sense. And it was that moment where I was like, holy hell, this is real. Like, this is real. This is real. This is real. I've got to tell everybody. And I never thought for a moment, well, this is how you get locked up in, padded rooms, because I wanted to tell everybody, man. I wanted to say everything we've ever been taught is BS, or it's maybe a smaller understanding of what's really going on, And I kind of think magic, I'm talking too much here, but I kind of think magic, the magicians tapped into that and then they took it to a religious level because it was the only thing that they knew, or maybe it was the only thing that they could relate it to. But then how do you explain John Dee's Enochian language? So,
ooh, yeah. Or the fact that Tool used it for the song Fayab de Awad, which is just fantastic, that they equivocate aliens with Art Bell's old 9/11 caller from that's September 11th, 1997, in which he does say this caller who says that he's escaped from Area 51 on a medical discharge and that he's being triangulated by unknown pursuers. He says disasters are coming. 4 years to the day, of course. 4 is 2 2s or 2. I don't know if you ever noticed about the word tower. It's what is that word doing? It's twoing, if you ask me. Tower is twoing. It's 2 tours.
Yeah, but
So
didn't they say that was a hoax? That guy called back in and said that was me and it was a hoax.
Well,
and
I'll finish. I'll come back around to it. It's fine if it is too. It's actually completely okay because just like the prophets at oracles at Delphi or other prophets have been possessed by like a quote madness and they've said things in tongues or said truths.
Yeah.
You know, was he hoaxing? Or was he calling in shamefacedly or whatever, saying damage control? Hey, my, body was a little hijacked and I said some shit.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't really me. That was me being Liz Frazier getting possessed on stage like the Cocteau twins do, like Christopher Lloyd Knowles of Secret Sun, longest run-on sentence ever, does talk about. But anyways, yeah, man, possession's real, right? The Irish call it the changeling. It's all across the country from all across time. Golbecki, Tepe surely has their own shamans who had works with possessions and transmogrifications and the soul work. So the point comes back around to this ability to draw in this kind of like transformative energy into the body. And let's tie it off there for now because we could say some more, but I'm gonna pause it there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I could say a lot about it because I think it's everything. I think, honestly, think that learning how to tap into. All right, I'm just gonna say it. So, all of the stuff I've read in spirituality and mythology and the hero's journey and the archetypes and the 12 and everything are really teaching us about this like alchemical process, I believe, where we're here to like really engulf ourselves into the human experience, right? Like just really engulf ourselves into this thing called the human experience and learn all about energy, right? And the second we start learning about focus and energy, then the body becomes the soil where we grow this thing that a lot of people call a soul or whatever. Some people have called it a light body. Some people have called it the lunar or solar body. And, in a lot of occult books, but you can see this because there's people on so many different levels of consciousness and they talk about these different bodies. I've talked to them on the show, man. Some never get out of the lunar body, so to speak, the way it's described, the way Israel Regardie spoke it, and others are going to other realms that you can't imagine. And then, of course, you got all the other people saying that they did this and that, and they're just trying to be a part of something. But the real people you just know because they're so profound in their stories and their information. And it's like, okay, there's something to this. So what the hell does it have to be hidden for? Why? Why does it have to be hidden? Well, the only reason why things get hidden is because one, your brain, you're either not ready for the information as a society yet, or it's dangerous. That's what
Could it just be that the information 3 doesn't flow that way? Like it has to be this way because of the nature of it. And it's like, it has to be something that because of whatever weird rule in this manifestation of physics, like it needs to be looked at, not looked at. Like to be like Japanese or German about it, like in the language, it needs to be not looked at, not looked at. And so then you can perceive it slowly like that. To look at God's face is to be blinded.
Yeah.
That kind of
like left brain, right brain thing. You can't get too much of one.
Brainstorm. Yeah. I don't know. Like there's several ways to look at it. And I think it's important not to throw out the brain baby with the brain bath water. There's obviously neurological stuff, but like, sure. Okay, cool. We get that. Let's get back to the show. You know what I mean? Really? Like there's all sorts of important things that are happening on the
here.
The ultraviolet, like whatever, beyond that, the other spectrums. And that's to say, like, also, when you talk about growing a soul too, I think people are brought together because the conversations that they have, they're like weird astral, like, in a chart, you got like energies pinging off of each other and that does something for creation. I'm taking my mic away from my face when I do that.
Yeah, I saw that. This is a guest that's actually holding a mic here, but it sounds really good though. It looks like you're on stage talking, man. It's cool. You're holding a mic, but it sounds good. I've already had people message me and be like, this guy sounds like the host and you don't. So it actually sounds good. So no, don't feel bad about it, but it's cool. I'm looking at his face right now. So yeah, but no, I get what you're saying. But, that's where the kind of the paranormal field comes in though, too. Cause we've got people that they're interested in that. Like on the Fringe, they want to know, what am I not seeing? How come these instruments are picking this up? And they've been called aliens, Bigfoot, tulpas. They got all kinds of names for these entities.
I think I'm an alien sometimes.
You are.
Genuinely, people have been telling me that, and like I'm like, that would, you know what? Out of like dire lack of ego, that would make effing sense. This place, and I mean, honestly, we're all aliens then if that's the case. But yada yada yada.
No, but I mean, like, what year were you born? Past 1982.
Year of our Lord, the year of our Lord Orwell. 1984.
84. Okay, so yeah, I didn't get that. Sorry. So 1984. All right. So we just got through talking to PMH Atwater, and she specifically like studies past lives with children, babies, all the stuff.
I love that.
And she's even developing books so parents can read to their children about monkey does this and baby monkey does that, but it's really things that they might remember and go, oh, I remember when I did this or when I came into my body and blah 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 blah. So she's writing these books to try to trigger these memories in the children. And what she's found out, it's pretty smart, right? And so what she found out is that, or what her opinion is through her studies, is that if you were born after 1982 or further on, you have this kind of like a heightened sensitivity to spirituality, to the right brain, to, I forget what she was talking about, how it's not like you're ultra sensitive. It's more like when you say you don't belong here, that's how it really feels. It's not you just saying that because you're not getting your way or life is tough or anything. Like, you really feel disconnected from what this is about, because there's a whole new generation of spirits coming through now. And she says it's from 1982 to what's coming now.
At the same time, I'm just grokking the fact, looking at my own chart, looking at like stuff like your nodes, like your north node and your south node, where like your soul's purpose is said to be found. Like, you're coming from this past. Okay, perfect. To your point, right? From past life to, holy shit. Pardon my language. All right. I'm having one right now. All right. So your past life is your cell, like a vault. How am I doing this? One of them, I do this all the time, but one of them is, I believe your north node's your past life and your south nodes. I'm probably reversing it. But
north node is like your life purpose, and your past life, your south node is the Draconis, whatever's kind of like your past life karma. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. So it is. That makes sense. So true north. Oh, that makes true north, dude. Follow your soul's purpose. That's right. True north.
Yeah.
Dude, I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah, in the Golden Dawn, they call it the Draconis, whatever, but really it's just the north and south node of the moon is what it is.
Yeah, my brain was, I knew I was flipping it. Thank you. All right. So my mind, vault. All right. I got a cop to this. I have something in Gemini.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to come out and admit this. I have something in Gemini.
Crazy guy right here. That's what this show's going nowhere right off the bat. No, I'm just playing.
Dude, all of us have some Gemini. You just hate it like 99.9% of the populace.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
So don't hate everyone. But so the point is that Gemini's as loving as it is hating to that point. And I do have my self node at 29 degrees Gemini. I think my north. Good Lord. Wherever my soul's purpose is going, it's to bring things into this dimension, basically, is the point. My other one's in Scorpio. So it comes from the occult and brings it into common language. That's it.
Yeah.
So that seems to be like one of the things I'm here to do.
Yeah. That's a good thing. That makes sense based on what you're saying tonight and how your personality type is, But how the hell do we do? Maybe we need to have you on more often so you can explain some of the stuff. I've literally done 400 and something episodes trying to explain magic, right? The occult. Like, how does people want to know, how does it work? I don't know. All I know is that it does work and that it's not as evil as everybody says it to, but I'm not saying it can't be, but the way that Ryan Gable and I have tried to explain it several times, it's like you can take fire, okay, and you can cook your meals with it. It can heat your house. You can have a better life because of fire, or you can burn yourself to death and, napalm people with it. It's like, that's probably why, and I'm answering my own question here, that they kept this stuff hidden for the people that were at a certain intelligence levels, I believe, to see through the symbolism in the text of scripture and in everything else, because once you get to that level, you're probably already a certain stage of consciousness. It's kind of like the Kabbalah, right? The Jews, I used to think it's ridiculous that they would tell their students, the rabbis, no, you can't study the mysteries until you're 40, right? So they used to make me angry thinking about it, but the more I look into this, the older we get, the more wisdom we get, the more responsible we become. Even if we're like assholes, we still have a little bit more responsibility when we get older and wiser,
That's true.
So they look at this stuff that's extremely powerful, and then you can start coming into figuring out what this is all about. And I can't help but say this so many times on the show, Nathan Lee, is that the Kabbalah, the tree of life, at least the Western side of this thing, there's so much to that glyph, man. There's so much stuff there that when I talk about it, people are like, yeah, but it's a complicated mess and you really don't need it. And you really don't have to look at it. And I'm like, okay, well, if I really don't need it and I really don't have to look at it, and it's so complicated, why does all of these books and everything I'm looking at keep leading back to this thing when I'm looking for the manifested universe and trying to figure out what's going on?
You're going to love this book that I just got, The Key of It All. Like, it's Kabbalah, Hebrew letter systems with like several different interpretations, like Crowley, Paul Foster Case, Manly P. Hall. This is like a masterwork. And it goes over several different things in Gematria and Hebrew, as well as I Ching, right? That's crazy. It's a genius book. Anyways, gosh. Yeah, the reason I insist upon making sure that, like, I'm very clear about the magic and the power of names is, you could use an example that we opened up with. I said I get around to my name. When you have Nathiel, and whatever it is, Nathaniel, just the typical Hebraic name, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Why is that even different than Nathan, right? Why is that? Because you have IEL, right? That adds the of God. IEL is Elohim, right? The electric force, like that electricity. You ever play Final Fantasy?
Dude, Final Fantasy 7 for months. That was my favorite one.
You cast Holy in any of those games, it's like a weird ball of glowing ghost electricity.
Yeah, we're getting geeky now, but yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
That's Elohim energy. That's the same shit. No, you bring it back to the Spielberg level. That's the same shit that launched out of the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark, that conceptual level of fiery electricity. All right. So when you look at that, that's like the what's his name, Ezekiel, like the kind of lightning and flashing you would see. That's
what was the main character's name in that, the evil guy? It was Sephiroth, wasn't it?
Sephiroth, that's correct, in 7.
Yep. Do you think the people that designed that game, I see this stuff all the time. Like, I think occultists design these games, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's called Jehovah or Genova. The main thing is looks like Jehovah almost, right?
Yeah.
It's of course a cult fan came from Final Fantasy 8. But yeah, where was I? I was about to finish that.
The reason why you try to bring things down to a normal level, you started there, or like an understanding or something.
I was about to say something. Something holy energy, right? IEL, right?
Yeah.
So electric, IEL, the Elohim. So the reason that biblically with the Kabbalistic, the Nathan and the Nathaniel, one means the gift of God and the other means the gift, is because of the suffix IEL. Using Gematria, all the vowels are substitutable. I learned that from Marty Leeds. I love Marty Leeds.
Yeah, he's good.
Dude, yes, he is.
Comes,
that 7 cipher is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And so you realize that. So yes. So anyways, so when you look at this, like IEL, it's important that Nathan Lee, it's the same weird thing with IEL, but it's EEL and it's like split into two. So you've got this gift of God, but instead it puts this emphasis on the electric kind of like holy energy. So my name means holy gift, the gift of God, or holy gift.
Really?
And that's the Hidden Tool album called The Holy Gift that I'm working on this. So yes.
I'll be damned.
Don't be damned.
No, but listen, but you know what? Seriously, Tool is, God, this is their last album that they made, isn't it? Didn't they say that? Like, this is it, the one that they just released?
I didn't see anyone saying that in any definitive sense.
I really believe, I think Maynard James Keenan, there's probably some bullcrap articles that are surfacing around, you know, how that goes. But when they did that band, The Perfect Circle, and we talked about it on the show quite a bit, the song, The Three Libras, I mean, we analyzed that song to death. I think there's some real geniuses spiritually that have been put on this earth. They may not even know that they are, to just deliver us messages, almost like when you get, you know, a zip file is, right, on Windows or something.
But download, yeah.
Yeah, so like a Tool song is like a zip file into your subconscious, and you take that song in, and
how much I love what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just driven by the emotional response to say, dude, you're fucking preaching to the pardon my language.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you know, I've been trying to watch it on my own accord just for the sake of whatever.
We try not to curse on here, but it happens. It's okay, brother.
Oh, I pardon my language.
Pardon me. Right.
Excuse. All right, we're just gonna get sillier if we do that. Okay, focusing. Yeah, Tool. The idea is like they really are a powerful like channeling, and I think like you talked about how like you sometimes you just can't care to make good things happen in some parts, and other parts you have to be. There's time to be hands on. There's time, you know, no one to hold them, no one to fold them. Blah blah blah.
Right.
So Danny Carey was like originally not going to even like their drummer bummed out on them, and they had no drummer. It was Adam and Maynard, right? And Maynard's not his real name; it's a character he created. But so it happens, this man, this boy at the time, James Keenan, calling himself Maynard in Michigan. He ended up living in Boston, working at a pet store in Massachusetts. There's a town called Maynard with a James Keenan field.
What?
Weird. Yeah, no, the world's a hiccup. The world's a dream. The world is a fractal. So anyways, the point is that when you're talking about there's time to not care, Danny was just like, all right, whatever, I'll drum with you guys. And then there was something there, I guess. And, you know, anyways, they have
he's a magician, right? That's what they're saying in the chat room.
The easiest way to justify or turn someone on to Danny's magical interest is to go to his own website, dannycarey.org or whatever, and go to I think it's /library. And you'll see his books on there, all these Kenneth Grant books. He's actually, I think I have at least one of the books he has. He has a lot of great rare text on there though. It's delicious. Anyways, it's magically delicious, literally. So anyways, yeah, the point is did you know that they have an album in Lateralis that you can unzip called The Holy Gift?
What? No.
Dude, did you know you're talking to the guy? Well, okay, listen, I have a few ideas. If there's you ever heard of Ryan Peverly's show, Occult?
Yeah, I have actually. I've listened to it a few times. I actually tried to get that dude on the show, and I think he was like, well, what are we going to talk about? Because I don't really know much. And I'm like, what? Okay. But yeah, I like his show.
God, Ryan's a great guy. And I was on his show talking actually a few times. I was on his show talking about Fear Inoculum a couple of weeks ago. And I was on his show originally talking about The Holy Gift, which is the hidden album within Tool's Lateralis when you rearrange it by the Fibonacci sequence. And suddenly I'm just not even giving a shit, just stoned with my friend making stuff up. And I said, hey, and so you take this song and you do this and you do this. And suddenly I realized that there's a consciousness elevation story hidden within this unfolded album that Tool made.
Yeah. And how did that happen? And see, that's what I'm wondering. Are they that big of geniuses?
How did it happen that I was walking a dog named Shadow listening to Nick Redfern talk about the women in black when a guy hailed me from across the street, invited me to talk to him, and told me about a UFO group that meets in towns near me that turns out to be run by friends of my family from when I was a child who worked with my father, yada, yada, yada.
Hold the phone a second. Okay. So this is where we're going to take a break because we've already missed one break. That's how cool this conversation has been. And then you've got to tell me that story, man. For real. You've got to tell me that story. We'll be right back with Nathan Lee. Occultfan.com. Is that the website?
Yes, sir.
Occultfan.com is the website for reference tonight. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Stay with us. Be back after these messages.
This is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Alex X. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
You can tug all day long on a carpet that's been glued to the floor. Then you hurt. There are many strong glues out there. Let's see, there's liquid nails and Gorilla Glue. You ever try to remove 3M 5200? That adhesive is strong. Then there's bathroom caulk, silicone rubber, adhesive tape, super glue, flex tape, and stickers. Graffiti. Scientists have come up with glues that stay stuck and can't be removed. Until now. Until Handyman Formula by DeBond. That's right. 95% of adhesives become unstuck when you spray Handyman Formula directly on them. Just spray, wait a few minutes, and remove. It's amazing. Most adhesives become unstuck when you use Handyman Formula. Visit DeBondCorporation.com or MCMaster.com. Call 561-575-4200. This stuff really works. Handyman Formula by DeBond, a great Christmas gift.
This is Reverend John M. Polk. Please visit me at johnpolkmedia.com and visit my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday on thefringe.fm.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a Void Walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a Void Walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a Void Walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada. You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. Nathan Lee is our guest tonight. Tomorrow night, we're not going to do the open lines. We're going to have our guest that was supposed to be here with us, I believe, Monday night. So we're going to be talking about breath alchemy, and that's going to be cool. So you really want to tune in for tomorrow night's show. And then next week, we're going to kick off another huge round of guests. But tonight, our guest is Nathan Lee. The website is occultfan.com. Author, podcaster, musician. And before the break, man, you were telling us, so we were talking about synchros, kind of, and we got into Tool and how there's all kinds of different magical zip files in their music. And you were telling me a story about how you were walking a dog or something named Shadow, and then just all these synchronicities with Nick Redfern and UFO people. Man, you got to start from the beginning, because that was like an outline. I'm like, what? You know, I got to hear this whole thing. So what happened, man?
Long story short, and I'll bring it up to present. I think it's like back around the time when all the weird stuff's happening, and I'm starting to get more and more into chaos magic and different methods of learning how to better yourself and how to do better magic overall. And I was listening to, I think it was Greg Carlwood's Higher Side Chats Plus episode of Nick Redfern's Women in Black. And it was one of those super synchro storms where I'm like listening to it, walking this dog named Shadow, of course, Shadow, Women in Black. And he's talking about Raven something or other. And I'm looking, suddenly my eyes are dead on Raven Hill Road, as he says Raven. So it's like,
okay.
Like the other day, I'm listening to No Agenda, and I hear Iowa on the thing as a car with the plate Iowa 83 goes by. I'm just like,
yeah. What's going on here? You feel Trinity talking in your ear again, right? Yeah, I know. This isn't real.
I think I saw a pink flash off of a Jesus fish or something. But anyways,
yeah.
No, but bring it back around. So it was a heavy thing, and you can see how I dress, and I hear, "Hey, Ernie Bach." Ernie Bach is this local son of a famous car dealer who became Ernie in the Mechanics, I think, or something like that. He became a self-styled rock star, and he can do that because he has lots of money and lots of property. So Ernie Box is kind of like minor, but he calls me because he's got the long hair and stuff. And he goes, "Hey, Ernie Box." So he's just, I come to now know who it is. And I love this guy, but I almost just, ghosted him. I almost just walked right by, like, nope, not today.
Yeah, this isn't happening this time, right?
Not today.
Yeah.
But I do have this thing where I've always kind of been like, I don't know. I'm not going to say it that way, but like, I'm really open to people. Like, I do really care about, I understand people's plights from a lot of different levels of like how hard times and just people across the spectrum of what people be. So like this guy, I was open to giving him a shot, and I said, okay, I'll warm my heart. And what's going on? And he starts talking this, that, the other thing. And he tells me that there's this UFO group, and I'm not going to disclose the finer details. It's none of, but it's an active UFO group. It's you could, people know all the major groups out there. It's major enough. And anyway, so turns out, and I didn't find this out. I go on, I start going, I go there. I long story short, from that part, I start going. So much I could say, but we go on.
You start attending the group, basically, is what you're saying.
The group.
Gotcha.
It's magical stuff. Like, this is all before I joined Freemasonry. This is all before I became a Rosicrucian. This is all before stuff. And you're like, but these people who are into different kinds of stuff, like some of them believe in Arcturans, some of them believe in, like, I don't know, really some of these people have worked with John Mack. Like, that's the extent of what I'll say.
Okay.
Like, these are really hip and deeply interesting and experienced OGs. These are family. These are UFO fam. You got to understand. Like, these are the dudes and dudettes and the people who make it happen. Level of respect like Linda Moulton Howe, basically, long story short. And turns out, speaking of the Enchanted Fox, my home magic store that I might have mentioned, we have the 3 Libra sync with there. In a good way, though. Maynard was talking about there's like 3 Libras in his life, and there was too many, so there was one welcome Libra and 2 that weren't, basically, in his life. I think it was part of the song. That's where I saw him explain the lyrics. But to bring it back around to the synchronicities, it turns out that these people all are in a similar circle. Like, these people are from the same area. It turns out, since I'm from this area too, that my parents were actually not only friends with them and had them over at our house at what I can now say is, well, I'm not going to say my home. If you heard the address that I grew up at for my 21st years of my life, if you looked at it magically, you might plot. So anyways, the point is that, and then you'd be like saying that these people are actually at my house when I was a kid. And like 2 of them worked with my dad. It gets so weird because I'm not going to even mention, but it gets abso-freaking-lutely sci-fi, like, stuff they're working, and that's all I'll say.
You can't tell me anything, right? You got to give me something here. I feel like April O'Neil and Ninja Turtles right now. I'm not getting the story, Oh,
man, I'm glad you brought up Ninja. I just talked about Ninja Turtle right over there. I'm looking at the silly synchronicities. I realized how I just pell-mell through some VHS tapes. Got Godzilla in 1985, and then an episode of the Ninja Turtles on VHS right above it.
Right, yeah.
And over here, I have some random, like, Dragon Ball Z tape, and then above that, I got, like, some random Pokemon, like, Toys R Us promo tape. So I got them all there.
So, okay, well, all right. Well, damn, I was hoping I'd get some, details, like some sticky details.
But let me bring a couple of experience. I'll give you an experience that we
sure, please.
We were at the camp out this year, and anonymous member of group and I were up late against an RV, and we had this awesome experience, like, just isolating this one experience from any of the other ones earlier. We had this thing, we were staring at the star together, and suddenly we were like, is that moving towards us? Is that star moving?
Yeah.
And we were pressed up against a solid wall. There's no moving this thing, and therefore us. And so this object is optically, truly, dimensionally, and I would say directionally as well as degree-wise, changing space. It's coming towards us. And it came solid towards us. I don't know how long.
Now, okay. So I'm not trying to downplay this at all, but sometimes that can be like a helicopter and an airplane that you don't hear. especially if
It
it's
went back to where it was before, right afterwards.
really okay. Because
I'm not
sometimes
telling-
at night
no,
it's
we know our stuff
trajectory.
from our stuff. It wasn't a helicopter.
Yeah. I'm just looking. I've had that happen to me a couple of times, but it really only happens though in the helicopter and plane case is when it's perfect, like when it's dead on coming at you, and that's usually very rare.
I only mentioned that because you wanted an example. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to. Yeah,
but
just
if it wasn't, then it wasn't, man. I mean, I know you're smart enough to tell the difference. I can tell.
I? I don't know. Am I? What the fuck do I know?
Well, sometimes, I actually, when I was a kid, took off running from one time with my cousin Jeremiah. Yeah, because we were looking across the street at my neighbor's house, Mrs. Graves, and I said, "Look how freaking bright that star is, man."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, it is. That's really bright." And I was like, "It's getting closer. It's coming right at us, And as it finally got to us, it freaked us out because we didn't hear no airplanes or any helicopter, blades or anything like that. So I'm thinking this is an alien. We took off running, but we didn't actually hear the sound till it went over the top of us afterwards. But if you didn't hear any sounds, and it was, you probably saw a UFO. People see that stuff before. I've seen the reports in MUFON and stuff where people seen these too. But they get heavily scrutinized because that happens with planes and airplanes sometimes too. And if you ever file a report with MUFON, they will make you feel like you're lying, Are you sure it wasn't this? Was it that? Was it before they'll even investigate it, So, yeah, that's pretty cool though, man, that you saw a UFO because a lot of people don't even have, I've only had one UFO experiences.
I didn't say it was a UFO for sure. Like I'm just telling you like exactly the optical metrics which we experienced. I'm not naming that.
Really? Okay. So it could have been it could have been a plane then maybe. Who knows?
No,
right?
no. I don't think I'm explaining my
Yeah, because I'm confused.
Last thing I'll say. It looked like we were looking at a star. The solid star very slowly approached us where we were and eventually went back to where it was just like boop. But like we were like,
oh, that's different. That's a little different. Yeah.
We literally experienced this object moving slowly towards us. I wouldn't give you this, dude. I have way too many. No, this was some.
Yeah, that's a real deal. Holyfield there.
This was some Raspberry Pi deals. So all I'm saying is that we also had like, what was another one? Okay, so I'm going to give you one. You know how Easter changes from April to March, yada, yada, back and forth?
Yeah.
Apparently someone was paying attention to that because I was up early. I love Sundays. Sundays are great. Just great day. A lot of guitar stuff. Remind me to tell you about the Angels and the guitar before we finish up tonight. So what happened was I was looking out my window east and I was peering over the horizon and I was seeing this kind of like light, like an orb. And I was like, no, I'm not. It's Easter, by the way. It's Sunday. It's Easter Sunday so that's why I mentioned the March April thing. And it's going. So for your listener, that's just what is that? And so I'm moving my hand side, like completely laterally, so side, like a flat surface, and then it stops, perpendicular to the flat surface. Dear listener, shoot straight up, just not like how things. So I knew it was what I consider these things more interdimensional or fairy, in a way. That's how I understand a lot of this. I think
they saw those kind of like they've witnessed those in Israel too. I think where there's some really cool footage that John D'Souza showed me of kind of like what you're talking about, where it just kind of floats over the top of these buildings and it's pretty well known. And then I'm talking about just takes off quick, lightning fast, and it's gone straight up in the air. And when you watch a video of it, you're thinking, damn, I don't know if this is real. How can I tell if this is real? But they had multiple angles and multiple phones looking at this thing too, until, I don't even want to admit this. I didn't really fully believe in like UFOs as far as something not from this world until our partner Tim Doyle showed me the still photography of these orangish, amberish cluster balls that were moving in and out of mountains. Like they were literally flying in broad daylight, moving into the mountains, coming back out of them. And they were just weird looking orange, kind of orbish looking balls. And they were moving so fast that you wouldn't have caught him with a camera. He went back and was looking at his photos to see that and spotted them as they were moving in and out. And then he noticed them on the film, so to speak. So yeah, there's some weird stuff going on, man. There's no doubt about it. And I think
the reason I mentioned Easter is that I saw one again next year on Easter, and that wasn't even the same month.
Really?
It was another Easter Sunday. Yeah, in the next year. It was 2016, 2017, I believe, or it was 2017, 2018. It was one of those two paired years. 2017 for certain. How's that? So Easter 2017, I saw a UFO. There you go. Fact.
So what about transcendental experiences? Have you had any of those? Even if you've had to use, let's say, substances, right?
Yeah,
even if you've had to do that.
I'll give you a juicy one. I'll give you a ridiculously Nish is gonna. This is for Nish too. Well, actually, fixedly, this is for my girlfriend JJ. I don't know what I'm doing now. All right. So, anyways, when I was really stoned, I had an orgasm when I was like 17. When I was on the edge of 17. And I had this whole experience where like my mind just launched right through the roof of reality. My soul went right straight through the roof of the night, to utilize the verbiage from the best Pink Floyd song ever, track 2 of 1987's A Momentary Lapse of Reason, Learning to Fly. But anyways, so yeah, dude, totally had this thing where it just kept like going, like, I know that we are immortal because I just kept going infinity, 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 infinity. It was telling me this is what you are. This is what's happening. So yeah, that's a really good example. So that's what you get for having me randomly on your show.
Well, that happens, you know.
It was incredible. We are eternal. Like seriously, like this is something that, and I mean, like the veil of Maya being shed that's the reason why it's hard to do the occult stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's a show out right now called Hellier. It's on the 2nd season. They're doing a darn fine job showing some of this, and I'm not sure like what level of what's what, but it's it's tied. It's definitely, it's all. I mean, I interviewed Alan Greenfield on my 6 of Cups with my buddy Jake, who's also a 22, and 22s are here to bring stuff into this reality. As 11s are here to work on the spiritual. 22, as Tessarian teaches, it's a builder on this dimension, which is why, again, my node being in this Gemini, like bringing it down, makes double sense. So Jake and I are talking with Alan Greenfield. He's awesome. So I don't know what, I'm only on partway through the 2nd season and no spoilers ever, but like, I'm still wondering how much of this is like some huge arse LARP, and how much of this is actually the next level of reality getting bent into the 40 and weird. There's so many dimensions to this that like not even going there right now. But like suffice to say, I got my crystal skull Hank right here. And I got Hank the day at the Enchanted Fox for shoveling for them. That was my payment for shoveling the snow there that day. And I watched Hellier the first day, and this kind of looks like Micah. His name's Hank. And Micah Hanks was on the first episode. So I'm like, all right, I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah, Mike is cool. He's my buddy. He's everybody's buddy.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was only on there for like a minute, but yeah, he seems pretty cool. And I have a sync related to him. But anyways, yeah. Have you had any syncs with that? Have you watched any of that yet?
No. What was the name of the show again? Just to double check.
It's started off, they went down to this place in Kentucky called Hellier. Hellier.
Hellier. No, I haven't even watched. No, I haven't.
You're really not putting me on right now, right?
No, and see, the guys at Grimerica got super pissed at me too because I wasn't watching the other show, the OA. They was like, man, you got to watch that because you're talking about moving intention and energy and stuff, and you haven't seen that show. And I'm like, no. Like I do a radio show 5 nights a week. I run the station. I'm lucky I got time to watch TV sometimes. So I got to be very picky about the shows I watch. But if you're saying it's worth it, then I'll definitely watch it.
You ever heard of the OG synchro mystic Jake Coetzee out of Canada?
speaking of Canada, because Grimerica, they're also in Canada, but they're very cool people. I wanna say that, like, there's a huge misunderstanding between America and Canada. And that Canada is not just our hat.
Yeah.
It's not just our hat, but yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely. But yeah, they're my buddies. But I've had experiences with what you're talking about as far as the out of body experience and the infinity type thing in that situation. Yeah. There's a deep secret to that's been kind of, and Western occultism was one of the most hidden secrets. And Aleister Crowley himself thought that he thinks, and probably a lot of people that really love Aleister Crowley, which I can understand why people do. He's a genius. He's a brilliant man, but that he unlocked the secret, but you can't really do it with concubines, but he got close. But it was the biggest hidden thing in alchemy, actually, and still is to this day. There's still a whole Western mystery about this thing that is only verbally handed down to certain folks in certain Rosicrucian orders. And I heard you mention that you're a Rosicrucian, right? So what order is it that you belong to?
I'm part of Amorc.
Amorc, okay. Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones, right? That's probably one of the biggest Rosicrucian societies in the United States. It's a fantastic school. I don't know. I've read some of their books. I don't know how big they are into tarot and magic and stuff, but as far as ascension goes and the Egyptian mysteries and all of that, it's spot on. You know, it's a very good school. And look, some of the best occultists that walk the face of the earth today, that we consider good, like Lon Milo Duquette and other people like that, were members of Amorc and probably still are today, you know?
I didn't know Lon Milo Duquette was, but that's cool. I have his book Low Magic to hand.
Yeah, he was a member of Amorc and then Builders of the Adytum. And I think he was a member of a smaller Golden Dawn organization or something like that. And then he eventually got into the OTO.
Wasn't Peter Lavenda into the OTO as well?
I think so. Yeah.
My buddy Jake keeps telling me that there's Jake, man, forgive me but I think it's okay if I say this. There's some video out there Jake's convinced is out there of Peter Lavenda like blatantly explaining the OTO ritual like on some National Geographic style Discovery TV show. Have you any knowledge of this?
No, I don't. I wish I did, because you're coming up with all kinds of cool stuff, man. I wish I had knowledge of or TV shows to watch. Yeah, no, I don't. What did you hear?
I was trying to, but I brought up Jake Kotze back a second ago. That's where we were going before. I offered hatdom, and that offer's open, Canada. It's cold. We need our hat. We need our head warm. Jake Kotze is like a genius when it comes to mashing up videos and making huge subliminal sweeping points that almost seem to be there already. Trump's penis is a video that compares the Stormy Daniels controversy about him and her and all of that with how she said in her book that his member looked like the mushroom from Mario Kart. And this joke, how James Corbyn's saying that's offensive. It's not the mushroom from Mario Kart. That's Toad. And then and so he's a synchro mystic. And I really want people who are listening to Lighting the Void to at least watch one Jake Kotze video over at his Vimeo. Don't bother going. Just Vimeo is the best place. Either the Trump one there or the one he just released or Time God. You're going to enjoy these, Joe. When you get time to do one of them, they're just, it's like 2 or 3 watch throughs.
Really?
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. Jake Kotze, Kotze.
I'm on it, man. I'm on that and Hillier. You know, I know what you're saying. I'll definitely watch that. But you brought up chaos magic earlier too, right? So do you consider yourself a chaos magician?
I usually refer to myself as a chaos magician, Freemason, Rosicrucian when it comes to titles that people can understand.
Yeah.
But I'm Nate, and I like to make people feel things with my guitar, Alice. Her name is Alice. My acoustic guitar right over there that has all the connections in the world to me.
Where'd you say Scorpio in your chart was, by the way?
My Scorpio? Well, I'm very open about my chart. I have a very above the horizon chart.
Yeah.
I'm a Pisces rising, thusly making Scorpio my 9th house.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
House of philosophy, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. With
That's
the
where my
guitar.
thoughts at.
Yeah. With the guitar that's named Alice. That's perfect. You know, it is really.
Explain why. I would like to know.
Well, the Scorpio energy is kind of something I've been learning about lately too, that taps into emotion. It's not just that. There's something about Scorpio energy that it wants. It's like an energy that wants to make other energies feel its energy, if you think about it. And that's what it wants. That's what it strives for. And it wants it to feel the depth of everything, all the way to the very poles of darkness up to light, you know, not just the gray area. It wants to go to both sides. Right. And no matter what planets are there or whatever, it's always there. It's pretty intense sometimes. Yeah. You've got the checkerboard scarf. I see that. So yeah, there you go. But it's all too perfect. And that's what I say sometimes. Like, I feel like there's this kind of running story going on, and you know, you hear all these scientists talk about, well, it's quantum entanglement, and you hear people use the word quantum a lot. And now that they make themselves smarter,
you're saying Alice is connected, the quantum CERN computer.
Yeah. So you've got this, but you were talking about all these synchros that happen, like the Ninja Turtle thing, like the UFO thing, everything. You start noticing that there's the same stories just kind of just blending in all the time, everywhere, you know, like some weird, super complex computer program that keeps running and perpetuating on itself all the time. And the scientists are like, well, we're just now learning about nanotechnology, quantum entanglement, and, you know, binary codes of error correcting binary codes in the universe. And it's like, they're trying to describe this thing with the left brain only. And I think we're at that point in science where these guys are going to have to start using the other side of their brain to tap into what they think is dark matter and quantum stuff. Because we are at a time right now, as we enter in 2020, I believe, where science and spirituality are actually about to come to a head, where one can no longer be directly polar opposite without explaining the other, because they can't just be here all the time, way over here and way over here. They're starting to blend. So now they've got all this stuff. They don't know. It's like quarks, dark matter. Oh no, we're going to call this a vacuum. Oh no, we're going to call this that. They don't know what it is because you can't see it anymore. It's metaphysical. They're going to have to accept that there's a metaphysical realm that's running behind all this stuff eventually, I think.
When I ascribe to the music of the spheres, in a sense, because everything can be seen as a cymatic, and our brains can be seen as a cybernetic, and the cymatic and cybernetic must be understood if we are to both acknowledge the potential for the evil of AI, as well as acknowledge the intense liberation that can come from truly understanding, with a populace that understands, has the courage to act on understanding and the true wisdom, you know, power, wisdom, courage, in short. And I mean that because, like, too much to say. But anyways, to get back around to it, when I'm playing my Alice, which is an organic, I'm just saying this, she's an organic guitar. She's an acoustic guitar, right? So I play through her what I play, I feel, and it comes through me. And I said Liz Fraser earlier. I'm not going to get into all the synchros. And I was bereft until now to not mention Clyde Lewis, awesome dude. I really respect his shout out to Tracy Twyman. Rest in peace, Tracy. We will always know how much you've done for us, and I love you. Thank you. But so I think he's a cool dude too for also doing that. And also there's some synchros tied to her birth with also the singer from the Cocteau Twins, Liz Fraser, to tie it back around. The way that I approach music is the same way that Liz Fraser does, I believe. And that is that I'm trying to let things come through me. And the other day I was playing guitar for some people live over a Discord private thread. I got the same reaction, like, dut. And it was finally, because I'm playing to it, and I'll finish with this, I'm playing to a crowd of magically operant, intelligent, and creative people.
they could actually hear. For the first time, I felt that people were giving me the appropriate feedback for what was going on, that my family usually just loved them, weren't on the same lingo. So they all said you can hear like there's angels coming through your guitar. You can hear like you're hitting all those weird harmonics and overtones at the same time. Something you're doing is making these voices come through. And I said, yes, you are very intelligent, thoughtful, and creative people. You understand what I am doing. You hear this now. So things are happening very in my 10th house, to mention that, the 10th house life, as well as several other places. I'll add this: Jupiter going into Capricorn. My Jupiter's in Capricorn. This is going to be nice.
Interesting. Okay.
My Jupiter's about to light I'm about to have a conjunct Jupiter in like a couple of days.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see what happens. We're going to keep tabs on you and see what goes down when that happens, right? I mean, that could mean that you're about to get blessed on a physical way, like in this material realm, pretty big. Like you could actually reach some type of, if the energy's lined up properly, right, you could actually manifest what you want on this earth, dude, with Jupiter. I mean,
makes sense.
Capricorn, Jupiter. Yeah. There's a lot of big stuff going on that's coming up here in the next few months too. Big energies, big transits and stuff. And, I don't personally get into big astrology, conversations on the show. I like to bring on astrologers to talk about it because it's one of those studies that when you finally realize what it is, you're like, holy hell, man, this is a lifelong study. How can I ever pretend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, right? Because
I totally don't.
It really is.
I tried it. So I got someone for you one day if they're amenable. I'm running an Invisibles reading group right now, which is literally like about all I will say about it. But I'm running an Invisibles reading group that began on 11/11. I will be doing it again next year for those interested.
Are you Invisibles meaning Grant Morrison Invisibles?
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, I'm into that for sure.
Next year, you're going to want to. Next year, we're going to start again on 11/11. We begin in the second decan of Scorpio. And I'll tell you this quick diversion. I was going to mention this earlier with the something about groups and work, but I have Christopher Penzak, who does some of those Llewellyn books for the witchcraft.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but I've never talked to him. Don't know him very well.
I didn't. That was a universal, of Star Wars, of like Hitchhikers, that kind of thing. So not do you know him? Like, but yeah. So you've heard of the dude, and he has a temple of witchcraft in New Hampshire. And I went to the men's group for a few of the times that they have through that. And we did this ritual to Kefra. And that night, my Invisibles book got there with, on the first page, Kefra. So just stuff like that happens. Yeah.
Kefra is also the adoration you do at night too. It's the nightly adoration that you do in
6 p.m.
Yeah. It's the one. You could do that one at night. I do it at midnight, but Crowley.
Is that the midnight one? Am I getting that wrong?
Kefra and the hiding. Yeah.
Oh, derp.
Yeah.
Hashtag derp. But to be fair, Frater Xavier turned me on to Liam Thomas Christopher's book, so I do know the appropriate ones. I'm just not. I should remember that though, because the moon card's pulled later in that same part. So yes, learning is remembering. So
yeah, but you still had that synchro though, man. That was cool.
It's not even like that. No, I obviously remembered Kefra better back then. But the point is, obviously, but the point is that we will start again on 11/11 next year. It's going to be a fresh group of people. Some people, you're free to do it again if you want, if you're already in. We actually have well, we got the exact amount that I cast for, actually. So we have quite a group of people, but it's $11.11 to get in, and it's 11/11 when we begin, literally at 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. And that'll be next year. You can get in on that. You're going to want to, especially afterwards, people in the group can talk about certain things, and you're going to hear like it's just fun. Obviously details off limits, but general topics, people got to know how cool it is.
Well, yeah, I actually do want to touch on that too. He says, where in NH? Where in New Hampshire? That's where he's talking about, right? Or is it online? You're talking about online, an online group, right?
So I run the Invisibles reading group through my Six of Swords Discord channel.
Okay. There you go, folks. Six of Swords Discord. Find it. It's a very secret and sacred place. If you find yourself there, you will be actually one of the elite members of the Six of Swords Invisibles reading group. No, I'm just playing with you, brother.
Next year you can join, though. You're welcome to join. We would love to, because it's already going to happen. So please, if you're interested, it's going to take another solar cycle. Get yourself better at magic throughout that. We want a very potent you in 11/11/2020. I mean that. Like, if you're interested, if this gets you burning, if you're into it, join us. Doing this as a group is what you think is. It is that cool. It's just also interesting that Chris Knowles was on the Rune Soup with Gordon White there right as the Invisibles group is launching. A lot of stuff's moving around. Had a lot of crazy Gordon synchros in the past few years too, but basically the best times are when I met him back in 2017. And
you met Gordon or Chris?
Yeah, in Hollywood in 2017 at Chaotic Good and the private golden ticket lunch. I was one of the 8 people who went to that. And then I also saw him again at the Metaphysics of Desire workshop and the other workshop in beginning of September in New York City. So that was cool. Yeah, man.
I can't wait to have him back on here. When I have Gordon back on here, I should bring you on, because we had this debate that he was really kicking my redneck ass on, right, when it came to magic, right? So I don't know if I lost you. You still there? Oh, you just froze for a minute. So but anyways, I was trying to tell him about the Golden Dawn magic, like the systematic, oh, damn it, we got to take a break, but the systematic style of magic, you know, where he's a chaos magician. He's like, you know, this is old hat Renaissance. You know, we don't need this. We need to progress. So he's really into the progressive movement of magic and looking into what fundamentally works. And I was like trying to explain to him why my subconscious needed that systematic old Christian Egyptian style of magic to at least kick in, if that makes any sense, right? To kick in. And I couldn't explain it, but now I think I can. So I want to have him back on to talk about that. Also, you know, after the break, if you guys want to call in and talk about any of your synchronicities that you've had, that'd be great too. But I do want to discuss a little bit more with Nathan Lee here about chaos magic, the imaginative force, and how we can use these principles in our daily lives, even in small ways, just to check it out and see how cool it is, how real it is for us. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast. Need another late night fix? You can tune in every weeknight to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
I like to listen to Lighting the Void because of the guests, the content, and the host, Joe Roop. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he seems to ask the questions that we all have on our mind. We're all searching for the truth, and Joe helps us get closer to it. I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. Lighting the Void.
What's up, Joe? Hey, man, I just wanted to say your show, dude, keeps getting better and better and better. I love Lighting the Void and The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Alex X. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to the Fringe FM.
To Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
All right, we are back. Lighting the Void. We're in a third hour. I didn't think I'd make it this week to a third hour due to tummy issues, but we're here. So we're back in full swing, and we're here with our guest. And Nathan Lee, who's probably going like, what in the hell are you talking about, man, in the third hour? But yeah, like, I've been sick all week, dude. I got this killer. I get these stomach bugs that don't like me, and they usually only last a couple of days. And I've learned through Lady Ann, who she's told me she's real specific when it comes to these stomach bugs. She knows quite a bit. So there's one that is really powerful and it only lasts a couple days and it has a name. And then there's another one that lasts for weeks and it's the most god-awful stomach feeling that you get. I haven't quite found anything yet to battle those things, but I want to give you a fun fact real quick that one of our listeners sent me that I thought was very interesting. Barney sent to me. And anytime you get these fun facts that kind of synchronize with, especially if they synchronize with my life, I'm going to tell you. So every time that your cat lays on your chest and purrs, you're being healed. Did you know that? That a cat purr vibrates between 25 to 150 hertz, which has been proven to be medically therapeutic for many ailments. This frequency range can heal infections, swelling, improve bone health, and even lower your blood pressure. Now, isn't it funny that, I don't know about you guys, but when I get sick, my cat will lay beside me until I'm better. He'll not move. He only gets up to go use a bathroom and get something to eat. For the rest of the time that I'm sick, he'll lay beside me, try to get as close as he can, and purr. So what if these cats were really put here for that reason? I would like to believe that if I didn't witness my cat actually murder a squirrel in the front yard. But, yeah, they could just be healing creatures. So there's a fun fact for you. So, but before the break, you were talking about your group, The Invisibles, which I want to let everybody know, if you haven't read The Invisibles by Grant Morrison and you're into magic, especially chaos magic, not even just that, if you're into magic as a whole and all of the symbolism behind it and everything about it, The Invisibles graphic, you can get the books, the graphic novel, it comes in a whole book, you can get all different episodes of it, is probably the best thing to read if you're into graphic novel stuff. Now here's the weird thing about this. Well, we've never talked about this on a show, and Nathan Lee is showing me his collection right now of The Invisibles. But there's a crazy thing that happens that Grant believes in, and he's a chaos magician himself, where he tells a lecture on YouTube, and you can go check it out, about chaos magic, where he literally writes what he wants to manifest in his life, in his stories, in The Invisibles. So he spoke specifically that he wanted this type of girlfriend or whatever, and he wanted her to look like this and be like this, so he wrote that girl into the comic book. And one girl after the other came into his life that looked that way, but one of them was crazy and one of them he didn't get along with. In other words, he wasn't specific. So the universe just kind of spit out what they could best for him be a natural law. Now here's the thing. A funny thing also happens to you if you read The Invisibles, and I want Nathan Lee to kind of talk to me about this. And I'm wondering, because you've got a group reading it, if it doesn't charge the energy even more, because you got a group reading of The Invisibles, if it causes more things to manifest synchronistically in their lives. Have you experienced this?
I mean, without a doubt, to answer it in one word, yes.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that like one of the biggest keys that we could see of our own potential and our own power? And I don't want to say power is such a word that gives people big heads, but how about potential? What you can really do just by using your childlike, creative, God-given imagination and putting it into physical reality. I mean, that says a lot. What does it say about religion? What does it say about all this moral stuff that we're taught all the time when a child just wants to they want to write and draw whatever and say, this is my best friend, whoever. They don't exist, but this is what they look like. And then they get, they put their emotions into it. And a child isn't aware enough to know what happens in their life. But I've seen when my son was little, man, him just, when he used his imagination, like manifest stuff into his life, man, and you can't explain it to the kid because he looks at me cross-eyed like, and I'm like, never mind, just go play.
They're not seeing with fear. That's a huge thing. They're innocent still. Innocence is the lack of fear, in short. And furthermore, it's the lack of like the carnage of mortality and the life feeds on life. That's what innocence is.
and it's important. It's a virtue. It's something that we should still worship. I don't want to say worship, but there certainly is an attack against it in the world as well. The dark magicians of the world. You know what I mean? Long story short. But like, there's also light magicians who value that and want to nurture the forward momentum of humanity. There's not progressivism is a bunch of things. There's also being progressive by bringing certain things that used to work back into what works. It's, what kind of progressive? Are you the progressive towards work, or is it progression towards a brick wall? You know what I mean? So it's like, we're always going to be there's never any ending. So we need to keep that in mind as building a structure that we use to live in the world. Brother Randall Carlson is very good at that. He talks about the cosmic catastrophes and cycles of true climate change, right? Like, you look back in the 1970s, you got Time magazine with a guy on a cold pack on his head with a thermometer coming out of his mouth, and it says cold age coming. So this opposite propaganda 20 years ago. You look at the huge climate and the huge cycle of human affairs, or just the planetary affairs, and as above, so below, we have to look at our own lives humbly and realize that we're just a bunch of scraggling little bits trying to get our energies together so we can make the best we can in this manifestation. Because I think there's something to doing that in this manifestation that justifies the creation, and therefore, whatever you get to do next, it at least doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's a little better each time. But it's funny that you bring up that climate change, where you watch this duality of an argument when these people talk about it, like climate change is BS. It's a democratic socialist agenda to get all this other stuff, and they're just making it up. And no, scientists, they've really showed us the studies and the information. And then the conservatives come out and they go, no, they haven't. We've got scientists that have showed us the information that it's BS. All the while,
I brought up Creator Xavier's because he warns us against such polarity.
Right. All the while,
it freezes you. It's fight or flight mentality.
It's fear, exactly. But all the while, it could be true, but we're negating our own experience right now and probably manifesting it through our own experience with fear.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Because that's the only way I listen to news is through No Agenda, pretty much. But furthermore, to your cat point, so the schism is, one of the schisms, the point of the schism is the separation between the right and the left. Of course, in the Holy Gift, it goes parabole, the trivium, parable, and then parabola. First of all, parable is a parable, a linguistic term, or again, trivium. And then parable goes into parabola. Now we have, from the word, we have the numerals, and now we have the quadrivium, parabola, or a mathematical term. Then you get schism. Now the brain separates. Now there's an issue. Blah, 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 blah. Next track, believe after schism should be, am I doing this right in my brain? Is that after Ticks and Leeches? Yes, Ticks and Leeches comes after schism, because as a result of the schism, you have these vampiric entities, these Wetiko, and then you heal from that after purging, and you get mantra, which is actually a cat purring. The Holy Gift has entities from the Holy Gift has a human singer, it has an animal singer, and it has entity singers as well as electronic singers. It has 4 different entities on the album. It represents the full scope of the 4 levels of the tree of Atzilith and Bria, and the 4 levels of catalytic tree.
Yeah,
of
the
life.
4 worlds. Yeah, or the 4. Yeah. So here's what I'm saying. Like, and you nailed that. We're actually about to record the hottest day ever recorded in history, right? And here's what I'm saying. First, when it comes to the science, let's look at this from both aspects, and we'll just move on past this. Yes, you'll hear the conservatives say, well, we had a super cold day in winter. That must mean there's no global warming or climate change. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. Once you start understanding duality, you understand that the poles and these ice caps are the world's air conditioner. So, it's not automatically going to go away. And when the ice caps melt, it's going to cause more precipitation, which causes more stuff in the air, which causes more cold. But what we pay attention to in the summertime is that Australia is about to record the hottest day ever recorded in history, which could reach up to 123 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Ever recorded. Now, is that because we're negating our own experience, or through fear and bullcrap, we're actually starting to manifest this thing? The ice caps are melting. The polar cap moved. Look, the polar cap moved faster than it's ever moved. It moved 30 feet. Quick.
No idea the synchronicities that are coming through this right now, going back to Tool and actually Alex Gray at Cosm.
Yeah.
There was a guy there. So it was another Leo Moon event. I was at the member barbecue in 2017 after getting back from the totally synchronistic trippy trip out to Hollywood with the chaotic good Gordon White thing with my couple of really great friends from Rune Soup and this crazy thing at the planetarium. But anyways, come back and I go to the member barbecue at Cosm, and they're still building Entheon 2 years ago at this point. The whole place is hollowed out. Allison is leading us around, telling us about the old art she used to do with Alex in Boston, all this stuff. At this point, I'm coming way up on the LSD that I was given. Well, let's bring it back to that point. I'm outside.
All right.
And we're hanging out. It's just a few of us there early. And I got my buddy's picture right here in front of me. My buddy, name unsaid, gives me, he's there with his girlfriend and he has 3 zucchini and he has some sugar cubes of LSD. And he's like, hey, I got my guitar, I got Alice and my backpack and such, and just hanging out, whatever. And we're, we good vibes, you can just, like, the constellations align and these people come into your life and it's just like, hey, oh, I remember you. It's like, so anyways, like, I love him.
Yeah.
And
the energies, you had a really cool event, man, in your life where energies just really peaked and synchronized. It sounds like.
Well, get this. Cause yes. Long story short, he's like, hey, would you like to take some LSD? And like, my brain does like the flashing through, and I know that you got to go through fear. And like, I'm just like, any apprehension, I liquefied. And I said, this is the moment. This is the time to do this. Good setting. I got the right attitude. Bam. Oh yeah, please. Thank you. Thank you. Very cool of you. Thank you. And graciously accepted. And then he said, I have 3 zucchini here. And there's me and my girlfriend, and would you like to come in and meet Alex? I happen to know Alex Gray, so would you like to come in before all the stuff starts?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so I go in there, and you mentioned the bit about your son earlier, and I want to say, like, because the track on the Tool album is literally a cat healing you. I realized from what you've just said, and your son's imagination is important. Imagination is one of the most important qualities that we want to foster in the world today. A healthy imagination, but deal with your shadow work imagination.
Yeah.
And I met Alex, and so there's a thing with people, and you got to realize this guy's got to be dealing with a lot of people, a lot of really intense people, a lot of people who think he's some kind of thing that maybe he doesn't necessarily feel like he wants to, have to deal with sometimes. Who knows?
Oh yeah,
and
there's people that look at this dude as an artistic god, man. So yeah.
At the Enchanted Fox, I remember seeing his books in they have a bookstore in the basement where I told you about the key to it all there, and I remember seeing his works. They sold his works there, so it all, and I helped save the Fox, but that's a story you can only hear if you go there. But yes, anyways, right, actually, where that book was kept, interestingly enough, now that I reflect upon it further. Moving forward. I go there, Alex is standing there, and I kind of position my body language away from him. I don't want any of my energy going towards him, right? I just want a soft enter. So basically, I think I said, oh, hey, you're Alex Gray. And hey, I know a lot of people rush at you and freak out at you, and I'm totally not about that. I don't want to do that at all. And he's already just like, I don't know. He's just like, thank you.
Yeah.
And so basically, long story short is like, I'm like, hey, if I just want to say it's thank you to Mark for introducing us. Nice to meet you, Allison. Alex, I don't know if you know this, but Tool has this album you can rearrange. It's Lateralis. You can rearrange it and get the holy gift. And it's my opinion. I've actually been doing lot of fun research into this, that I believe that there's a consciousness evolution story being told in this reordering of the holy gift, and that there's an actual way to evolve. He's like, that's so cool. You're Imaginathan.
Wow. Yeah, that is cool. But what if you're right though?
And of course, like my Leo Moon said, as long as you add the Lee.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You got to add the Lee to it. So, but
I love that.
So,
would you mind if I just quickly jump one further thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure, no problem.
Because of the thing in September where we had to go. Well, I had to go. I was seeing Gordon in New York. They were selling Tool tickets that weekend. And we did all the right stuff, but then MasterCard wanted like that one more 3-digit number on the back of your card, and my girlfriend couldn't reach me because I'm in a closed workshop. So she couldn't get any tickets in Boston, which is where we would see them, but New York, and I can't even get into all the things, like this gets stupid detailed, but like New York brought me back again to see Tool. Turns out we see them 11/19. Who else but Alex Gray comes on stage during the encore.
Wow.
directly like in an astrology chart, like where things are squared, like directly where and the most energy is being given. Alex and I literally sat.
Wow.
Like,
so I wonder if you didn't hit his subconscious somehow to where later he was like, I want to listen to this album because this guy, and you're talking about the energy, and I'm thinking about maybe how it worked, right? Because I always believe the subconscious is involved, right? So you humbly introduced yourself, and this is how things enter the subconscious, not profoundly, but humbly, and then kind of did your own thing. Later, that stuck in his brain, I'm betting, and he probably went and listened to it and found the genius in it that you kind of introduced him to, and that probably put him on stage, and no one's ever going to know. But I bet you that's probably what happened. You probably know it because of the energy you feel about it.
It was just really intense. Like, to your point, to validate your point, and I mean, like, I have no, I don't even, my humble response is like, I don't even know what to say to that. So I'm just going to say that I felt, and this is always, what do I know? But I felt literally like I was pushing tides away from all the other energies. Like I felt we were directly connected, and
right.
And he was on stage, and I was like, I'm not even going to say what I was saying, but like, I wasn't even listening to Stinkfist at this point. I'm like, all right, dude, he needs some. In my perception, it was the thing to do to add some bonus focus and love, and just like, be you, Alex. You be you right now, Alex. Kind of energy towards him. So I don't know.
Well,
that's what.
If anybody doesn't know who Alex Gray is, we're literally talking about the only dude on the planet that can put what it's like to be in a super conscious state or a DMT experience on in artwork. Everybody says he's the only one that can really show what it's like. And even then people say you can't describe it. Now that's something I've been wanting to ask you through since the show started. I've never done DMT. Never. Have you?
I want to mention Stanislav Grof's name before we go any further. That's Grof, like frog. Right. There's not enough syncs already, but where's one more for it? Now it's there. There it is. So, but yeah, Stanislav Grof is actually part of like the Shivite. He did the holotropic breath work. Actually, this ties in with your next. Make sure you bring up Stanislav Grof and Wim Hof and stuff with whoever's doing the breathing thing.
Right.
Those are two you might want to. To get back to the point though, taken quite a few things. I don't think I've ever taken straight up DMT. No.
So have you taken ayahuasca, or is LSD the extent you think?
No, it's not the extent, but every time I've taken LSD, it's like one of my favorite. You mentioned, Gavalt, there's so many things I'm trying to pick up here, but you mentioned like names for other like bodies earlier, and one of my earlier names or incarnations before Occult fan and such was the Body of Light, and another one was LSD Romance. So those two things, every time I've taken
Romance, right on.
It's such a good name. It's such a good name. And and I said this is every time I take LSD, it is a beautiful thing. I saw Radiohead at Bonnaroo, and I had this entire time slippage event where anyways, So
where you went off into LSD world and you came back, and it's like coming back from a dream world that lasted 12 hours, or was it 2 days? I don't forget. And I have these faint memories because I went so far away from this place. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was beautiful. It's like the dream you wake up from, but there's that nostalgia that you want to go back to, that you're like, damn it, why did I wake up? Like, I want to go back. Yeah, I've had those kind of LSD experiences.
I've never had a problem wanting to go back. I always knew that it was for the time it was, and I don't mean to be trite. I certainly don't.
I'm just saying, as like, not saying you feel like you want to go back, but that's the kind of vibe I got with it, right? Because honestly, every time I ever got done with LSD, when it was over, I was like, thank God. I mean, that's 14 hours, 20 hours. Come on, man. This has got to end sometime. It's beautiful.
I'll bring it back around, because during that trip, after that was just one nice chapter in the story.
Yeah.
Then we're like led around the grounds, and Allison was showing us all this undeveloped land, and there's all these things, and then we had this huge intention circle, and this is going to bring us back around to why I brought this up in the first place, because it has to do with what you were talking about with the climate thing. So watch this. First of all, we're in the unfinished building of Entheon. You can still see like there's workers are listening to like whatever radio station. It was really hip to see it all just like laid out like that. And they're like, oh man, I could tell you so much right now, but let's just focus. That we were all in this big circle holding hands, and a lot of people were doing a lot of nice new age, quote unquote, intentions. And my LSD's like starting to really peak here now. So this huge open flat barn, huge circle, Alex and Allison and all of us connecting in a huge ring, setting intentions for Entheon. And I said, let us have the courage to face any of the trials that are ever before us. And there was totally not the same thing that people were saying. It was totally the perfect thing. But that's when it peaked right there. It was amazing. And then later we're coming down, and there's this guy there who is, now Alex and Allison are up there doing their thing, and they're giving the floor open to the people who want to say something. And this guy says, I'm just really kind of worried about the direction that everything's heading in. I'm still LSD vibing, still going. And I'm in the crowd feeling everything. And like, I'm like, this is no.
Yeah, he's putting his fear into the situation, right? Yeah.
What a wet matzo. So I say, okay, my turn. I stand up, because that's what you do. And I stand up and I say, and I'm looking right at Alex and Allison right now, because gotta do the thing with the stuff, because it's a big room. And I enunciate and I say, and you will come to find that we are all one mind, capable of all imagined and conceivable. And it was just like Alex is like, yeah, and Alice is like the hippie, and like, yeah, I'm like, yeah. So it was a good thing. So like,
you got rid of that bad vibe quick. Just push that to the side real quick, didn't you?
Well, it's a caduceus, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, what better than to quote the Lateralis from the Holy Gift? I'm literally transmuting something with it right then and there.
The Night Stalker said in the chat room too, he's talking about Ram Dass. He said, Ram Dass says that he went to the East to find a way to make the LSD trip permanent. So he wanted to get back. He wanted to get back so bad. Wasn't Ram Dass the guy that could take LSD and it didn't, like, he is at this level of consciousnness that it actually didn't affect him, but like nobody saw any change in him or something?
I would encourage you to look up his origins. Ram Dass is, I'm very open. I really have a thing about truth with myself that like it's like an OCD thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll keep like anything my wife girlfriend vault. So anything my girlfriend. Yeah, right. No.
You ain't married her yet, have you? Huh?
Yeah, the sun and the moon thing should say enough for everyone. But anyways, it'll be of the century or something like this, maybe. But anyway, so circle back around the Ram Dass one. I will be open about saying there's an interesting exchange you should look up between Terence McKenna, who I heard in the show's opening. Am I not mistaken?
That's right.
Excellent. Terence McKenna and Ram. See, this is how it works. Terence McKenna and Ram Dass. And look at it with like a body language, personality, psychology kind of thing going on there, and see what Terrence is doing. Is he not dressing down Ram Dass at points? What's really going on there? I'd encourage you to look at that to further your education overall.
Was that on video? Like, is it on YouTube?
It should be on the YouTube. That's where I saw it.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've never saw that.
Yeah, the body language is necessary. It's not, you would never get that just with the vocals. It's really, so I look for this stuff, man. I see how people treat each other. I'm very fair.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. All right.
I'll say one thing. Again, I'm born on the equinox, which explains like 00 degree Libra. It's hitting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, in the basic charts, I'm a Aries, so I'm like Aries Sun, Cancer Moon, Libra rising. Except for
brother, it's your moon right now. You know that?
Yeah, yeah. So except for one chart where I'm a Aries, you know how they have different housing systems, right? So there's another housing system where I'm Aries Moon Aries, but I don't feel that. I feel like the Libra one's more true.
Libra rising?
Yeah. Yeah, because I want everything to be, I want the best for everything in the fairest way possible. I've always been that way, man. You know?
Yeah,
I've always been that way. Like everybody should get their due and everybody should be respected equally and fairly. And I try to be that way.
How could there be any other way though?
There shouldn't be. That's the thing. It should just be obvious, you know?
And it's like, and I believe in capitalism and charity. But I do not believe in vulture. You know what I mean? Like Greg Palast vulture capitalism. I don't believe in that either. I believe that there needs to be some way for people to have a free exchange of currency. But when you get into like Jekyll Island stuff and fiat, just, you know, I mean, Catherine Austin Fitts, you know, just Martin Armstrong.
You know,
who's
the later in the evening it gets, the more your Boston accent comes out too. Do you know that?
Is that for real?
Yeah, man, it's really coming out. Like you sound like what's his name that wrote all those books. I'll think of it in a minute. He's a big occultist, but you sound just like the guy. But he's got to be from Boston. I think he is. McVeigh.
I've been told
not McVeigh. What's the guy's name? I'll think of his name in a minute. Yeah, I'll help me in chat.
Yeah, not a fan of the McVeigh.
No, it's not McVeigh. It's I don't know why in the hell did I say that. That's pretty dark. He wrote Illuminati. He was big into the satanic stuff, and he wrote the Illuminati and all that stuff. So, anyways, I'll think of his name in a minute.
Yeah, no problem with that. The Illuminati's my brother Johnny Royal's got a video about a film about the Illuminati out. But yeah, I wanted to address something someone said there. What was someone made a comment about something. Could you refresh my memory, please?
Well, I was going to read a text message too. I forget. See, that's what happens, man. You circle around, you start talking about acid, then you have a flashback and you forget where everything started and where it ended.
Am I having a flashback now?
No, I probably am. That's the
I
BS.
just in your head?
Do what? Yeah, I think you were.
You absolutely have the face of an Aries. You definitely are Aries.
Yeah, for sure. I hate it sometimes because I'm impatient. I can't do indirectness and I can't do, God, I'm going to admit this okay. There's some things that really get on my nerves, but I always exhale. Right. And that stupidity, indirectness, and like slow things that like when you beat around the bush to get to the point, I can't take it. Like my soul starts burning. I can't take it. But I've learned
it already.
Yeah, I've learned to slow down, right, and get to
your Cancer moon is what you are inside, like my Leo moon, and that makes you so indirect. Like you're indirect with yourself. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it helps. It helps mellow me out. But so we got a text in from the text in line, and they were talking about earlier that we brought up how, you know, in magic you can manifest things that didn't mean as much to you because there was no fear or doubt in your mind, right? And the guy says in the text line from 602 area code, he says, I wonder if that's why I can manifest dimes all the time. Like, who cares about a dime anymore? He said, but they show up when I'm heading in the right direction all the time. Just dimes, you know? Think about that though for a second. If you actually picked up that stuff this is the paradox of it. If you wanted to manifest $1 million, well, let's not say that. Let's say $10,000, some type of life-changing chunk of money. And you do a money spell and you get your candle and you do all this stuff and it kind of works, but it don't. And there's a few little consequences with it. It was kind of shaky, but you got a little bit of money and it didn't work out the way you wanted. But if you tried to manifest, say, I want to pick up dimes. Everywhere I go, I want silver change to happen. And really work on the spell. And it doesn't matter to you if it works or not because you've seen these things your whole life. The key here to understanding magic and its purpose and how it's going to help you is make sure you pick up all those damn dimes, and you might actually have the $10,000 a lot faster than you think, you know, because we don't pay attention to that. We think, well, it don't matter. I'll manifest it. But there's some power to that too, man. What if you picked up all that damn change?
It's Wu Wei. It's being in the right place at the right time with the right action/intention.
Yeah.
It's basically like to know, to will, to dare, to remain silent. To remain silent's pretty much the right time.
Now, here's where it gets trippier. You know, earlier I brought up the out-of-body experience with you, right? This is something I've really been thinking about. I'm going to try to do this. And Robert Monroe was the big guy when it came to the out-of-body experience. He wrote one of the biggest books about it. But in that book, he talked about how he would manifest money, right? And weird things started happening to him. So in the astral realm, he walked outside and he saw like $2 laying underneath a piece of plywood. And he's like, okay, well, wakes up, goes outside, picks up the plywood. There's the money. Okay. So he had it in the out-of-body experience. He actually found it in the physical realm. What started happening after that was that he would mysteriously have loose change show up in his pockets in his closet. Now, he said, I don't know if it's because I'm losing my mind, but I keep track of everything in my life. But for some reason, I keep getting $2, $3. Sometimes it's $5. Every time I reach in my closet, there's more money in there. My wife doesn't know where it's coming from, right? So nobody knows where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we create these little, when we start messing with this stuff, back to your point earlier where we don't know what we're doing sometimes because we just don't know. Yeah. I think sometimes we create these little unintentional wormholes.
You're going to say like a feedback loop?
Yeah, exactly. Like some kind of feedback loop or wormhole or something where something keeps happening. Yeah. And if we could figure that out, we probably could figure out how to grow money, like on trees, so to speak, you know, or just
Tracy
anything.
Kleiman had that book, Money Grows on the Tree of Knowledge. I suggest that to your readers, especially in memoriam. But yeah, like the idea that CERN is kind of a similar idea. Maybe they did figure out Groundhog Day.
Yeah. You feel me? Look, we talked about that on Clyde Lewis's show. I actually got to be on his show for 3 solid hours, man. And
straight up, dude, that's tight.
Yeah, it was cool being in the studio, being in the top of the tower in Portland with Clyde Lewis on KXL, you know. And we were talking about how all of the synchronicities between the Abraham Lincoln assassination and the JFK assassination. Yeah. But some of the street names were changed, some of the names were changed, but all of the elements of the story were there. It's just like they got switched around a little bit, you know. And he started asking me about Rosicrucians and can they time travel? And I didn't even think about it. For some reason, when he asked me that, I was thinking time machine. No, it's not really like that, you know.
Dude,
another synchro, right?
I mean, like
big time.
Keep going.
So I started telling him about the planetary alignments, the astral realm. Once we learn the elements, the planets, and everything that we learn about the hidden stuff, then when they go into the astral realm, yeah, they can actually time travel. They can they see the same story perpetuating over and over again with the spheres and the planets and all these energies. And sometimes the stories and names get mixed up and everything, but that's only because the energy's still there, right? And then you look at the book of Ecclesiastes, which it says, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. So in a way, this story is, I believe, doing the same things, but not in the way that's linear like we think, where it's beginning to end. I think it's just like a mix that keeps happening over and over again of just jumbled, quantum entangled, beautiful garbage is what I would call it.
I really like the way you said that. I don't know what just happened, but it was pretty.
I just broke the internet, didn't I? Did I break the internet?
Oh man, you can't broke what's already. It's like America's infrastructure, bro. It's like gets a D, whatever it is. But anyways, D's. Anywho, yeah. Before I go down any politeness and such. So yeah, man, I think that's crazy. I just sent a weird like pretend film script to an aforementioned synchromistic OG, saying, I think I started to mention to you about Millie Bobby Brown, who plays 11 in Stranger Things. Should be what they're going to do next for 2020 is they're going to have her co-star in a film with Ryan Reynolds where they battle a team or a secret cabal of time traveling magicians.
What?
Everything you were just saying. No, you have. I'm not even going to go on further. You have no idea, like, because Ryan Reynolds played not only like Grant Morrison still does Green Lantern and Ryan Reynolds was Green Lantern, but also the fact that Ryan Reynolds was in a movie called The Nine. So Ryan Reynolds a 9 and Millie Bobby Brown's an 11. So you're going to see them do a movie where they're the 9 and the 11, but they're not obviously going to come out and say it like that, but they're going to have them fight some time traveling magicians. And ultimately they're the ones who end up causing the chaos and ruining the universe when the whatever time travel magicians were actually trying to heal the universe, but it makes it look like they're the bad guys, but it turns out it's actually the corrupt humans who are being tempted by outside influences. Anyways.
Whoa. Yeah.
I was just fucking messing around, making jokes, sending him what was on my mind, you know?
That's wow. Okay. So see, that's the thing that keeps happening with TV and movies and stuff again. That's what I was talking about to Jennifer Marshall last night because she was in Stranger Things. And I said, hey, do you not notice that all of this hidden knowledge and all this stuff is being like shown to us? And it used to be really cool to hear it when you listen to Tool, right? And music and people that were really intelligent and sharp would get into it. But now it's in everything, right? It's like in Disney and Netflix and everything we turn around. It's inside of everything.
Not always though. Like look at I draw your attention to 1971's Bed Knobs and Broomsticks with Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote. And also on the back of Hocus Pocus, they use Sarah Jessica Parker's Sex in the City. It's Sex in, not Sex and. I actually have a picture of. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's Mandela effect stuff. Doesn't matter. What are they doing using Sex in the City on a Disney film? Anyway, so I go back to 1970. Right. So I get Mickey Mouse. Anyways, right.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we get back to the idea of 1971's Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. One of the 5 passwords in the magical Enochian incantation that's used in that book is John Dee's name. And right before that, it's something that sounds almost like Satan. So it's, Tracoites, Macortum, Tracunum, Satis, D.
Careful now. Yeah, you might bring it on down.
Dude, Pete's Dragon's like suddenly right behind you. Anyways. You looked. What is that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no,
anyway.
I hope not. But
yeah, right? No, but the whole point is they had a Star of Astaroth in that, right? How hidden has it been?
Yeah, you're right. It hasn't really been. It's probably just now. Yeah, that's trippy. I get really confused about that.
The subconsciousness is growing stronger in the dreamers as a collective entity. And the entity I speak of or refer to as what? Humanity, right? We're actually going through a tidal shift in our consciousness. It's about to get weird.
2020. Here it comes. I think so, man. I think you're right. If Dr. Atwater's right about the children since 1982 to now, yeah, and it's perpetuating too. I use that word a lot, perpetuating.
Yeah.
So
you perpetually perpetuate the word perpetuate.
Yeah, and I think it is about to get really weird.
Yeah.
And Joe Dispenza's work, you got to read. Have you read any of his work? Dr. Joe Dispenza?
He's a very upbeat dude. No, I'm familiar. I've only heard him on podcasts and such.
The way in his latest book, he really breaks it down, left brain, how we scientifically are broadcasting out our own manifested world, but he doesn't just talk about it on a metaphorical level. He breaks it down to the atom and the vacuum space between the neutrons, like everything. And he's showing you
one day.
Yeah. So he's showing us, like, if you focus on something, right, then you put your emotion behind it. You are literally sending out a high broadcast signal to the universe that's what you want your reality to be, but it has to have focus and emotion. And if you look at the magician, that's all they're doing is focusing on what they want, but being really focused about it with emotion. That's why you do the ritual and the dance and the acting and all that stuff, because you're tapping into that side of the brain too, and it syncs together. And that's when you send out that big broadcast. You know,
it sounds like you're talking about unifying the pillars of severity and mercy almost.
Straight up. But science is starting it. What I'm saying is, you know that, but science is starting to explain it. And they're like, wait, what's going on here? And meanwhile, the Renaissance magicians from the 1800s, even further back, are going, yeah, it's been here the whole time, but this is what we called it, you know? And I don't know what y'all are calling it.
I got one for you before we have to go. I got one for you. Let's bring this back to what do they call Jesus, the King of the Jews? INRI, because
that's right.
Are J.
Yep.
The secret is INRI, right? Well, isn't
Yod,
the secret,
Noon, Resh, Yod. Yeah.
Or is the secret in Rhode Island?
Huh, could be.
Okay, so what if it's on the Newport Tower flag, that it's the Newport Tower? Hey, Jim, what's up, brother? Fellow 22. See, I mentioned Jake. I got you 22. Got you Jim Egan 22. Fellow 22, like myself, September 22nd here. Hobbit Day, I am. So Jim Egan is the proprietor of the Newport Tower Museum in Newport, Rhode Island, which is, since Jason Louv is back in the car vis-a-vis Miguel Conner, ecstasy versus entertainment, entertained to death, right? Jason Louv wrote the book about John Dee and the Empire of Angels, and Miguel was mentioning brother Jason Louv the other day, and John Dee is actually the architect of the Newport Tower. And lots of people think it might be this, that, the other thing, Templars, this, that, the other thing, but it can be thoroughly, arguably convinced, aka proven, that this is John Dee's plan, executed and designed and built in Rhode Island. And in fact, I was there on the spring equinox on March 22nd-ish this year. 21st, I forget. There with Jim all day. He showed me the camera obscura. You ever seen one of these in real life?
Hell no.
Joe?
I'm going to.
When you take a small pinprick and you put it on the window and it shows the image of what's outside on this dark board.
What?
It literally, dude. So anyways, the whole point is that James Allen Egan, get his book, Elizabethan America. It's a lot to dive into, just slowly, but the Newport Tower is a horologium. And in fact, it will show you the linear rays of the equinox at the precise time of it. So again, it tells even like lunar eclipse stuff. It shows like these crazy low lunar points. Why is it on the Newport Tower? Why is the Newport Tower on the flag of Newport? And what's the significance with the naming game like Lauren Coleman does, right? With the copycat effect. So just wanted to drop that one before we go. The Newport Tower and James Allen Egan.
Well, thank you for that. I will look into that. And yes, we do got to roll out here like fast for the network. So thank you for coming on. occultfan.com. That's where everybody need to go. You got any other links you want to give out just real quick before we?
Sure. Yeah. Nathan Lee Miller Foster here. It's occultfan.com. You can find Occult Fan at the WordPress for my blog. My show is a 6 of Swords, also 6 of Cups, 6 of Wands, 6 of Discs. And my music is right now at Occult Fan at Bandcamp. Please do go and check out the album proper. And there's new music on the horizon. As always, I'm writing a super cool book that's, musician, author, artist, writer, podcaster, dancer, and sexy fine man. And also,
right on, brother. We'll do it again. Yeah. We'll leave off. Actually, next time you come back, we'll talk about exactly what you talked about. We'll make a part 2 or something, man, if you're down for that. And
I am. Thank you to Nish for this opportunity, and thank you to you, Joe, and to your network. Thank you guys all, and God bless everyone.
Hell yeah. Very well said. And please don't copy the show without written permission. This show is produced by The Fringe FM. Also, big shout out to Pacho. Yes, Nish, Jeremy Scott, the program director, Eric Markham, all of you in the Fringe FM chat. I love you. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.